Dude, I'm not even sure if this thing's infected or not. Have you looked at that? Have you seen that much pus come out of one orifice at one time? Have you seen that?
Can Dwight just come already?
I don't even know. Like, I can't.
Down in a minute.
Finally, we can talk like men. Welcome into what's probably going to be the shittiest thing we've ever done, and more than likely the shittiest thing that we'll ever have on this channel. I'm hoping it'll get better from here, but welcome into what we're calling the Now We Can Talk Like Men podcast. It's the four of us. It's going to be awful, but we're going to talk about some of our favorite topics. Some background information I would say is, first of all, I'll say our names. I'm Justin, but everybody knows that. I'm kidding. Most people probably aren't going to know that.
Who knows that?
Like 5 people because of the Juventus channel kind of thing.
We got 14 subscribers already. Subscribe to YouTube. Subscribe.
We're up to 18. 18 at the time of recording this, at least.
17 of those are Justin and his burner accounts.
No, they're actually just people that I threatened from our Bianca Arizona channel. Like, do you want to still be members? You better fucking hit that subscribe button. All right. I'm Justin. He's Ashton. He's Brian.
I'm Miss Toy.
He's Dwight. Are you upset because you went? I went.
Yep.
You laughed.
Yep,
I'm
that's
sorry.
fine. I'll be the star eventually.
You actually did the most work leading into this thing, but it's fine. Okay.
I got notes.
He's got notes. So it's background information. We'll talk about a plethora of different topics, I'd imagine, here on the channel. Basic information where Louisville and Kentucky fans, I'd say loosely you, because I don't even know if you know what happens in the sporting world.
I know nothing other than Kenny.
How many games did they win this year?
3.
Close. 4. Close. You're close.
That's when I stopped watching.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not what we're looking for. He's the only UK fan. Unfortunately, it's not evenly balanced. But Ashton doesn't really watch basketball, so it kind of counts.
I'll hold my own.
I'm sorry.
Fine.
Who won the bracket pool this year? Raise your hand.
Point.
I still can't believe that happened.
We will get into that. We'll get into the
We'll get into that. So, but most of what we're going to do here on the channel is going to be a lot of nonsense, a lot of
Chicanery.
Shenanigans, chicanery. Yeah. What's that bar with all the goofy shit on the wall? Anyway, that's what we're going to be doing here. As we work through this, we're going to work through random topics and, of course, a lot of different current events. Pop culture, though, Dwight doesn't want to talk about any movies or anything like that are popular at this time because he doesn't care about them.
If it's not Batman.
So one other segment we're doing is Bourbon because we're all in Kentucky. The only two that know anything about it are myself and Brian. Ashton and Justin are along for the ride.
Yeah, the bookends.
But what we are doing is every episode we're going to somewhat review a allocated bourbon. Like we're not experts at this. So if you're looking for like tasting notes, anything like that, forget it. But what we don't know is what we're drinking tonight. So we're going to kind of just like sip on it while we talk. We're going to say whether we like it. And at the end, we're going to review it. We're going to give it a 0 to 10 rating. And then at the very end, we're going to figure out what we're drinking. So
and shout out to your wife, Allison, for the secret
shout
pour.
Shout out to the wife.
First shout out.
We got how many minutes in before you did a shout out?
Shout out.
It's funny because I took a sniff of this and
it smells like heaven.
It just smells like every fucking bourbon I've ever smelled in my entire life. It smells like every generic bourbon I've ever had at any bar that's mixed with Coke. Is what it smells like.
Well, that's blasphemy, but that's.
I'm just telling you, that's what it tastes like. I know it's funny because like whenever we talk about stuff, like whenever I do the Bianca Arizona channel, I'll be like, yeah, from Louisville, Kentucky bourbon and all that. Oh yeah, I know all the good bourbons, and I pretend like I know it. I don't know anything.
You don't know anything.
I don't know, but nobody else knows.
You know nothing.
Is that like you pretending to know about soccer?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was all right. That was fair.
Ouch.
Zinga.
Anyways, so let's get into it. So, hey, as Justin said, Louisville had a great season, right? So let's dive into that.
We're going to open up the discussion talking about the University of Louisville, Kenny Payne, and the season that was 4-28 on the season. The worst fucking basketball team I've ever seen in my entire life. No, I mean, that's just being honest. Like, this is what I wanted to say the entire time while I was doing the take. I mean, I mostly kind of said that, but it's an abomination. I think the best term that I could use to describe the Kenny Payne era as it started would be an abortion. There's no better, I'm being honest, there's no better way to put it than to say what I watched.
If you are a religious person, just go ahead and close this.
No, but if you're religious, you're anti-abortion, right? I'm anti-abortion. I do not want to see abortions carried out. I don't want to see the killing of babies. You killed my baby, Kenny Payne. That's what you did, and I'm sick of it right now, watching you dismember arm and leg and other pieces of this child that was
happy Good Friday,
the
everybody.
University of Louisville. But like, all right.
You go to church Sunday for Easter? Or?
Yeah, I'll be there in church. I'll be there in church, and I will, I'll pray. I'll pray that this will never happen again.
So let's, obviously no one's happy, right? Like no U of L fan is happy about the season.
Oh, you're happy, but
I'm not, because honestly, when you're a rival, you want your rival to at least you don't want to kick someone when they're down. You want right? You want there to be
legitimate rivalry.
You legitimately want there to be some suspense,
right?
Which
is a lot of enjoyment out of beating them.
Exactly. There's no joy out of beating a 4-28 team. So honestly, no, UK fans are not dancing on your grave. But what I'm curious about, obviously, I know nothing about your all's recruiting. I know nothing about.
Well, let's get into that.
But before we get into that, I want to just know from my standpoint, year 2. What is a successful season? What would make a U of L fan say, all right, things that are turning around? Is it 500?
No. The only acceptable year 2 that Kenny Payne can have that I would say you don't have to fire him would be making the NCAA tournament. That's it. That's the only bar. Because at this point, and there's people out here who are trying to settle this or twist the narrative to say this first season, they're trying to just give it as a wash and say that he didn't do anything, nothing happened. This is year 1.
Didn't happen.
And no, happened. It's not. It's not year 1. It's the worst. Like I said, literally the worst product I've ever seen put out on a basketball court. Worse than me when Brian and I played on that team that didn't win one game. Back when before. Did we win a game?
Me, you.
Yeah, that was.
I thought Allison was on there.
Allison was on. Your wife was on that team.
We won games because of her.
Okay, it was like 2 games. It was we didn't win a 1.
We won games.
We didn't win a lot. Oh. Okay, but I mean we didn't have 30 whatever games to go up against.
Yeah.
So it's tournament or bust.
Yeah, it's tournament or bust. It absolutely should be or bust.
And realistically, though, let's say they go above 500, don't make the tournament, but barely. Mm-hmm. They make a push in the NIT tournament. Realistically, is he getting fired? Realistically.
Okay.
No. We're going to get into the administration?
Yeah, we're going in. I'm fine. Lottie can call me up anytime she wants.
Realistically, will he get fired? Will they have the guts to fire him if he goes above 500 but just barely misses?
I don't even know that I would say it would have the guts. My thing would be, I personally think this administration doesn't care about winning. I don't think they care about athletics overall, because the only move that you see right now that you can really fully back them up on is that they hired Jeff Brom. But the only reason and this is not about basketball obviously, but on the football side, the only reason you hired Jeff Brom is because 1, he was an easy pick, and 2, Cincinnati did your job for you. Cincinnati went in and for some reason decided to hire Satterfield, which is the most shocking. You go from Luke Fickell to Scott Satterfield, and I remember there were guys, Cincinnati Bearcats YouTube that were celebrating. I'm like, bro, you don't fucking know. I understand the recruiting class looks good.
When the team where the coach leaves starts celebrating, you made a mistake.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
If they're celebrating that he's gone, it's not a good hire.
Yeah. Right. So my biggest issue is I don't believe that even if Kenny Payne has a bad season, I'm thinking if he wins 10 games next year, they'll excuse it away and say, well, this is year 1. This is him setting a foundation and trying to build from there. And they will excuse it because 1, they don't want to pay the buyout and the money that it costs to go buy another coach or get a coach who's actually worth a damn. And then 2, there's so many agendas when it comes to he's a Louisville guy, and that's a part that I want to get to later, is talking about the he's your guy thing, that this trend that's been going on in all kinds of sports, not just the college level, but you've seen it with Duke and North Carolina now. Louisville's doing it. I don't know what Kentucky will do when Calipari leaves, but
and it rarely works out, right? You look at Georgetown, you look at Patrick Ewing, right? It rarely works out where you bring home the guy and it is successful, right? Or
you have the fake juice that you're seeing that you saw in North Carolina, which is he took a Roy Williams team, ran with that, and then they didn't even make the tournament this season. I mean, they weren't abysmal.
You gotta give. I think you do, though, have to give some leeway there. If you make the national championship the next year, you get a little bit of some leash.
If Kenny Payne made a national championship this year, or the year before this, I would give him some leash.
Exactly. So.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is, though, the two things are not comparable. You guys aren't even saying a word. So I want to make sure you all can talk. But my issue...
They're enjoying this beautiful bourbon that we're going to...
I do want to talk about that, but I'm letting Justin go.
We're going to talk about it at the end. But I'm writing tasting notes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm writing tasting notes. No, we're not going to talk now. we're deep into this.
My issue though is that the two topics are not like comparable. Like Kenny Payne, there is no precedent for this this level of ineptitude. Like I've never seen anything worse than this. Kenny Payne didn't go to Spain. Kenny Payne should have gotten on the plane to fly to Spain and go on the planes in the Spain, or when the rain falls in whatever it is. Kenny Payne should have gotten on that fucking plane.
When it rains in Spain,
yes,
you got some Kenny Payne.
I do want to say he is going to Africa.
He's in Senegal to go recruit. I guess Abbas or whatever. Fine, that's good. Get some other dudes right now. So what we're looking at, you asked me about the recruiting, year 2 in recruiting. He basically said that he was going to get rid of all the guys. First off, let's talk about this real quick.
We got Ellis gone.
Yeah,
successful accomplishment there.
We don't need him. He's selfish. He's very selfish and scoring too many points on his own. He's not creating for other guys. That's the issue with Ellis.
That's fair. So you're saying basically what I'm hearing from you is a successful season is making the tournament. You anticipate a non-successful season, but you don't anticipate them firing.
I wouldn't say that's successful. I'd say the floor is the tournament. It should always be
what? The floor or what's the consequence?
The worst you should be fired.
But it will.
To be honest,
but to your point, he will not be.
Ceiling is the roof, guys.
The roof is
Yes, the roof is yes. Okay. Regardless, he should have been fired this season. He should have said, well, we tried that. That was fucking bad. And they should have moved on. They should have said, let's cut our losses and let's go get a real coach who can actually do the job. The problem is Nolan Smith and his crazy wife who's on Twitter, going after people who make any kind of... I've seen this on the radio in Louisville. I'm not afraid to do it on this where like 7 people are going to watch. I'll say it.
You have 18 subscribers. Shout out 18 subscribers.
There's so many issues and like examples of ineptitude when it comes to the University of Louisville and Kenny Payne and his staff. First off, you've got Nolan Smith and Josh Jameson wearing Nike apparel to university sanctioned events when you are...
I didn't know that.
Adidas's, as you know, at this current time, you are their flagship. Really, it's Kansas because they're putting all the money into Kansas and getting them recruits. But at the same time, Louisville has the top dollar currently being made until that runs out, and then Louisville probably maybe we'll find another landing spot, maybe Nike then at that point. I doubt it, but we'll see. But you have guys like that doing that, wearing Nikes and like making jokes of it and acting like it's not a big deal when like those are the guys that are like paying for for a lot of this to get recruits, to get whatever you want to get, things like that. And then also
they did that for Rick, right?
Well, they did do that for Rick. They did. Brian Bowen worked out well. I miss Rick though. We'll get to that later. I miss Rick so much. Every time I see him.
I thought the local strip clubs like assisted there. So not no.
No. There's
those were independently owned.
Yes.
Independently owned. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got you.
Brothels. Well, Deja Vu burned down, so
man,
it did. It did. It was a sad day.
Sad day. Bad day.
I actually saw a concert there once. But pretty great.
The Rustic Frog's still going though. So
the Rustic Frog.
You know what the Rustic Frog is? Okay, if you ever been to...
Tennis.
I know someone that's opening a new one.
It's in southern Indiana, so if you're going down toward the casino, it's there's always a sign that says the Rustic Frog Strip Club, Gentlemen's Club, and I've never been there.
Wink, wink.
Right, but it's a strip club.
But shout out to Candy. Jolie.
Shout out Old Turquoise.
So anyways, let's get to the bottom of this because we got other things to talk about. I mean, we could wallow in U of L's pain, but I want to save some time for my own.
Yeah.
What are we really thinking? Like, put on your cap of, yes, not that cap, but put on your
free Trump hat, right?
Put on your MAGA hat.
Free Trump!
And figure out what is next year going to realistically look like. Does Kenny Payne have a year 3? Does he have a year 4? What do you anticipate happening?
My anticipation is more of the same. I think I would max out. Okay, so I never got to the actual recruits. Right now, he's got Sky Clark coming in, who is a former 5-star. I say this tongue-in-cheek because he's a former 5-star. He was recruited by Kentucky. They parted ways, whatever reason. Supposedly it was
not good enough.
Either that or it was both sides. Whatever's going on, it was not a I don't want to go to Kentucky. It was Kentucky said no. Was what we know there. There were rumors that he was going to be landing at Louisville last year. For some reason, Kenny Payne couldn't get the job done there, and he went to Illinois. A lot of rumors about what happened there at Illinois. closest thing to confirming anything was he said last year, or he said that supposedly he had stepped away from the program last year because of issues with his father's health. I hope that's what it is. There are rumors to the contrary. Not going to mention what those are, but they are they're Charlie Strong-esque. It's the only thing I can say when it comes to those kind of rumors. But we'll see what actually is the truth there. Is he have a personality issue? I don't know. Is he a good enough point guard? You, again, losing L. Ellis, you don't have a point guard there. Otherwise, your other point guard that you have on the roster is Karan Davis. Does anybody know who Karan Davis is here?
Negative.
Have you heard the name? Anybody?
I just heard
3
it.
Louisville fans at the table. Has anybody heard of Karan Davis?
Okay. Well,
I saw.
We got 2 if you combine.
I saw a whole 1 basketball game this year. So.
There you go. No, but okay, so that's fair.
My
So,
first kid, Karan. That's cool.
so that's fair. So, but I want to know you're live and die this, right? Like you're in and out of this
Can't tell.
daily. You two are more like on the casual end. Like you're definitely U of L fans, but you're more casual than he is.
I like watching basketball games.
There you go. Okay.
I don't like.
I like the ball when it bounces.
I do
So
not.
what are your all's thoughts? Like where are your all's like? Where are your all's thoughts on Kenny Payne? Like, are you, that sucked, but give him time? Like, where do you guys land?
I mean, I think in the NIL and the transfer portal age that we're in, to go 4-28 when you can pretty much go out and get guys from all over at whatever level.
Immediately.
Like,
embarrassing.
Immediately.
That's hard to do. Like,
Yeah.
it's almost impressive how bad they were this year.
Right.
Now, again, I watched a total of 1 game, and that was the UK U of L game. And obviously, that didn't go well. But you could tell L. Ellis was the only guy on the court that had some type of skill. And then obviously now he's leaving because these higher caliber, transfers or recruits are coming in.
I don't think that's why he's leaving.
Now,
I'm going to say the reason
He's jumping ship.
No, what I'm going to say is there's rumors that they've said that one of the reasons that he's leaving is because, and this is a rumor that was floated out there, is KP didn't want to play him. He'd have to move to the 2-guard role instead of playing him as a point guard, which is his natural position. But he didn't really want to do that. But then he also kind of went back at Matt McGavick on Twitter and said that ain't bleeping true or something like that to somebody. So I don't know what it is. Maybe he doesn't want to deal with the BS of a 4-win coach. I don't know.
From the limited, very limited amount of basketball that I saw from the U of L Cardinals this year.
You know ball.
I know ball.
You know ball.
Clearly,
Let's be real.
I mean,
We had a
I
bracket.
won the
we had a
bracket
bracket tournament. We had a bracket for all those who don't know.
Who had
We have a
UConn?
very exclusive bracket tournament. None of us had UConn even in the Final Four. Ashton knows ball. He had him winning the championship. It was a landslide.
Almost doubled second place. But anyway,
Didn't you have San Diego State winning your other bracket?
Kansas State. Which
But they still
made
did
a
well.
little
They still
run.
did well.
Made a
They
little
still
run.
did well.
Well, further than my
But
Final
yeah,
Four.
all right, continue.
But,
Continue. Let him cook.
But L. Ellis, now, let me start this by saying Russ Smith was one of my favorite U of L basketball
Shout out
players.
Bourbon. He's got bourbon.
He does have
Mr.
bourbon.
and Mrs. Let's go.
Have you had it before?
It
Have you
is
tried it?
distilled with positivity. If you didn't know.
Have you tried
Shout
it?
out. I have tried it. It is
Is it positive?
acceptable.
It is positive.
Exquisite?
It was distilled with positivity. It drinks with negativity.
So by
Shout out.
is it?
Shout out. He's a good guy.
There's a lot of people that
Yeah,
drink
he
with
is.
negativity.
He has multiple ones. He has one I think is a 12-year.
Is that possible?
Well, he sources it.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, what? Like,
He sources it. So I mean, whatever.
somebody else put it in a long time before he did.
Exactly.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
a lot of but we're going off.
Sorry.
Anyway,
Anyways.
I see a guy like L. Ellis as a very poor man's Russ Smith. Because, yes, when he has the ball in his hand, he's going to do some stuff. He's going to score you some points. But his more natural position is not ball handling and facilitating. It is as a scorer. And you look at, like, Donovan.
I think it's amazing that you picked that all up.
On one game. He knows ball.
I know
He
ball.
He saw it.
But you look at, all right, for example, and again, I miss Rick Pitino just like you do, but you look at what he did with Donovan Mitchell in college, and now what Donovan Mitchell's doing in the NBA, where
yeah, big game dog.
he is off the ball now in the NBA, and
He didn't show up for any big games.
he is cooking. I mean,
He is.
as
He
the White
is.
would say, hold up, let him cook.
Hold up. Let him cook.
Well, I don't even get me started on Donovan Mitchell, though, because Donovan Mitchell, to me, I think he was, I would say, an epic failure at Louisville. And the reason I say that is because if I'm looking at the player that he is now, and I'm not gonna let you tell me
That's a joke.
Rick held him back. Like, he had plenty of opportunities to play. Every big game when they beat Kentucky, it wasn't because of him.
Okay.
It was Quentin Snyder.
But I don't,
It was-
as a UK fan, which we'll get into this, I don't want to hear anything about, look at him in the NBA. Because we're seeing lots of UK players that are balling out in the NBA that did jack at UK.
Do you think?
Yeah, but
do you think UK fans would argue the same about Devin Booker?
1,000%. And he's he is scraping the surface. He wasn't a starter.
He was a sixth man.
Isn't he a freshman?
He did, yes, but he didn't
They're
start.
all freshmen.
Don was there 2 years.
Okay, so he's a sophomore.
Yeah, that's an entire. That's an entire year. It's 200%
He just
more.
needed another year back at UFL.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rick was right.
I think Rick was right. I agree.
You can't be serious.
No, there's no way.
Okay. Let's be real.
Enjoy your St. John's games.
All right.
Oh, I'm going to.
Brian,
I'm
before, 'cause we
appalled.
gotta,
Hold on.
I need,
Devin Booker wasn't a starter.
No.
That's
I even know
What?
that.
when Wisconsin,
They're platoon,
again, I
bro.
don't mean to jump to UK because I've got lots of thoughts here.
Was that the
But
Harrison twin era?
When
Or was
yes, it was their second year.
Okay.
When
'Cause they should be
Wisconsin
starting.
beat us in the Final Four, Devin Booker was on the bench.
wow.
So
Good call, Cal.
yeah, good job, Cal. Congrats.
What's he leaving?
We'll get into
Lifetime
that.
contract?
So is that?
Texas
Do you
made
have
too
any
good of a
thoughts on
run.
UofL, or are we ready to? Are we ready to bash Mr. Calpin?
I am in
Calpin
to kind of tie a bow on this. I'm in agreement with Justin. Like, I think because of now with NIL and the transfer portal, your bottom floor expectations with the recruiting class. Granted, on paper everything looks great. Once you get out there, the X's and O's and everything takes over. You don't know how they'll react and do. But in my personal opinion, as somebody who #knows ball, I agree. If you're not making the tournament, then changes need to be made because nowadays it is so easy to, especially in basketball, you can have one or two guys. It's not like football where you need
True.
multiple guys out there that can play. If you've got one or two dudes in basketball, you can make them run. You look at UConn, name me two of their starters.
Snogu. See, that's
Right.
I don't know ball.
Or
but Snogu.
You look at Gonzaga, who had Timmy, and that's pretty much it. And they make it to the Elite Eight. So
Yeah, it's fair.
I mean,
Where else is it acceptable for a Division I school to go they have 4 wins and keep their coach? Where else? Seriously.
Navy or Army, maybe.
Right. Yeah, like, it's a joke. It's pathetic. It's sad. Like, why is it okay for us? Is it because we had a changeover in administration and they picked Kenny Payne and they want a feel-good story that Kenny Payne gets to be our coach?
So the excuses that have been made by the university, and when I say excuses, I mean Josh Hurd came on the radio and said it himself, is he said that the university has been under a black cloud for 7 years.
Which it
and
has.
No, they fucking haven't. They have been under this black cloud for 7 years, which if you go back, that's the announcement of even rumors of what happened with the Katina Powell situation and all that.
How do you not classify it as some type of black cloud though, with FBI and NCAA
they're saying-
investigations that have that you got to admit they have hindered the program in some way, form or another, because I'm not saying they had to, but they did, in fact, fire their AD, fire their Hall of Fame basketball coach, and then you have all these recruiting stipulations going into it. And then on top of that, Bobby 2.0 in the football program happens after
What did he do wrong? He didn't do wrong.
After Lamar leaves.
I mean, he quit, and he forfeited games, but he had a Kenny Payne style year, and he got fired. That's what happens when you have that kind of year.
But I'm saying, because of all...
But also, let's be clear. When he did that, he chose to lose those games because he was loyal to Tom Jurich. When Tom Jurich was let go, that's why he decided he was done. That's what Bobby. Yeah, Bobby was done when Tom Jurich was gone.
I'll tell you right now, I don't care how loyal I am to somebody. You're paying me millions of dollars to coach a sport.
Yeah.
I'm not losing on purpose. And
He got the money.
That's what I was going to say.
He fired him. He got the money, and he doesn't have to work for it. And he got to go do another job in Missouri State. Now he gets to go hang out with Jimbo and replace the Texas A&M.
I mean,
Jimbo ain't happy
So
about
what
that
I'm hearing,
I think
what I'm
that's
hearing
gonna
from
be a
Brian though,
trend.
you're saying where is it acceptable to go 4-28?
I'm gonna
So
say-
are you
I'm
saying
gonna say
fire him
Air Force.
today? Are you saying
Fire him at the end of the season.
of
Last year.
They should have,
now?
yeah.
So now, okay.
There's no excuse that he's still our coach.
Interesting.
It's all just a feel-good, happy story that we have a former champion coaching our team. It's pathetic.
I don't disagree that I don't think he should have come back for a second season because, you know, you like I said, you can argue, you can build your roster really, really quickly. And yes, going 4-28 never should happen at any level of college basketball. You know, you don't see Bellarmine, Georgetown, any of these small, like even your smaller college, you're winning at least 10 games. You're playing 40 of them. I mean, and it's not even that you lose 28 games. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm going to guess their average margin of loss had to be at least 8 points, maybe.
I was going to say,
maybe
close
more.
to
What do you think about? But what do you think about the fact? And again, I really am dying to transition to Coach Cal. But what about the fact that you did see more competitive games late in the season? That's fair to say, right? Like you saw the Miami game where they were competitive. You saw the Virginia game. They were competitive. Like you were seeing more competitive games later in the season.
How many of those players are still on the roster?
I mean, you're
They're
asking
all
the wrong
leaving.
guy.
Yeah,
I have no idea. Well, maybe maybe they're all
James.
gone because you're bringing in better players. That's what you're asking for. You're asking for better
And
players.
that's what, like, again, I am a very loose, you know, U of L basketball fan. But one thing
I don't need to keep reiterating.
for me,
We can tell. No, I'm kidding.
but I do know ball. So, but what I hate seeing is, you heard all year of fire Kenny Payne, get rid of all these players, and now these players are leaving, and these same people are complaining that all the players are jumping ship. That's what you wanted, and it's, you know, good for them. They're going to go on and hopefully do better and have more opportunities wherever they go.
That's the coach in Ashton.
That's true.
The positivity
That is
of
true.
the players. I don't give a shit. I'm
you-
not about U of L.
Are you a coach apologist a little bit? Do you find yourself doing that? Like being a coach, like because of experience of like you understand.
Yes,
Let's be honest. You've had some rough seasons as a coach.
I have. Granted,
hear
I'm
it.
not-
Hey, hold on.
I'm
Just
not
so we're,
But yeah, let's-
because I feel like we need context.
Yeah, we need
there.
context.
When we're talking rough seasons, we're talking. So Ashton, Coach Ashton, for respect,
Coach Bailey.
Coach Bailey, yes, is a football coach. He knows ball, but he also knows football, and he's a coach of football. And the last 2 seasons he's coached football, how many wins you got?
What were your records the last few seasons?
The kids are great. They gave.
Whoa! Oh!
and
Are you drinking this?
I will say,
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
obviously, I am not in a position where I'm getting paid
like a
a
well
lot of
bourbon.
money to coach football.
Do you want some of that?
I can't go out and fill my roster.
All right,
Like-
what's the answer to the question?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
4 wins? Is that
How many wins over the last 3 years?
What were your records? It's a team effort. It's not just on
I mean,
you.
use your one hand. I think you can.
Last year we were a young team and we played a very tough schedule. We went 0-11.
Coach speak. More
we
coach
went,
speak.
We went 0-11. But the good
I'm
thing
gonna cut all this out.
we were
Just get to the answers to the fucking question.
we went 0-11 last year. But
The year before that.
at
Just give me the numbers.
2-9 the year before.
The year before that.
I didn't coach the year before that.
Okay, year before that.
Didn't coach that year.
Okay, year before, whatever the last time you coached before that.
That year we went 0-11 as well.
Okay, if you.
Hey, and he's still employed. So
I
Kenny Payne has a
actually just
chance.
got a new job. How about that?
Kenny Payne has a chance.
But now, granted, if I could go out and fill my roster like Kenny Payne, I would,
Hope for 1 win.
yeah.
You dropped some bags.
Okay,
you'd drop some bags.
As somebody as a coach, what would you say to Kenny Payne didn't even recruit anybody his first season? What's his excuse there?
I mean, for me, as somebody who has worked in recruiting, granted, it was football as an intern for a little while. Back then, obviously, you didn't have NIL and you didn't have the transfer pool.
You had NIL. It was just under the table.
Yeah, you just didn't.
But we
know
had
that.
it last year. We had NIL.
But that's what I'm saying. Like I've seen the recruiting side of before that. Now seeing it. Granted, you're also competing with everybody else in those same things. But the transfer portal, I think, is the biggest thing. Like where he missed out on, because you see a lot of these guys that are going elsewhere to schools that maybe aren't as.
Why didn't he get him?
Prestigious.
Why didn't he let anybody in the transfer portal?
Well, if
It was open to him.
if I'm a recruit
There are guys out there.
No, I agree. But if I'm a recruit, I'm looking at the whole picture of brand new coach coming into a program that's, had been pretty good and then fell off a little bit with Chris Mack towards the end.
He had the team #1 in the nation.
That's what I said. He was doing pretty good and then it fell off. But then you're bringing in a brand new head coach who has no head coaching experience. I'm a little surprised he didn't do better because he has some NBA experience working for the Knicks those last few years. But he's a Calipari quote-unquote guy. So,
I have this theory about Kenny Payne.
He is not a secret informant from the
No, it's not that. No, there are talks. People laughed at this, but I just kind of wonder if he was touted as this recruiting genius wizard, and supposedly most people you talk to at UK were I don't know where they got that idea. It was put out there. A lot of the UK people are I don't know where they get this idea that he is. I think it's all the people that are friends with Kenny Payne and that wanted him at Louisville that wanted to believe that. So part of my idea was or my wondering was he goes out there and supposedly he gets relationships and he recruits so well. Is he going into rooms and he's talking to guys and developing relationships and then he leaves and 5 minutes later the bag man comes in and it's here you go, here's the money. Now you can commit to Kenny Payne and act like he was a great recruiter.
That's when he was in the UK?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Gotcha.
If that would happen, because let's not kid ourselves. There's bagmen everywhere. It's been going on forever.
If that's
it's
true,
just,
why would
Louisville sucks at cheating. They suck at cheating. They don't know how to cheat. They don't know how to do it the right way. Duke, Kentucky, North Carolina, they do it the correct way. They've done it the correct way.
Allegedly.
You don't think that? I don't care about. To me, cheat. I don't care. Just win games.
Yeah. I mean, now there's no reason to cheat, right? You can get paid.
Yeah, if you're cheating now, there's
no reason to. There's ways to
stupid.
cheat. There's not even cheat, but there's ways to get your players paid and not get in trouble.
Yeah.
And
I think too, and I haven't looked into this, so this is just me talking out my ass. But how much has the university?
You started that a long time ago.
How much has the University of Louisville and their donors bought into the NIL part of things compared to other universities? I know UK, for example, they've had a bit of pushback and trouble, especially from their AD of really getting that set up. And I know from living in Lexington the last couple of years, I've heard Mark Stoops kind of complain about we need to do more to get these kids in there.
Well, that's my issue. Is for all intents and purposes, what we know about the University of Louisville is you have a lot of donors, you have a lot of money people that are all about it. And let's go. You got the old whatever the initiative. I can't remember exactly what it's called. The card, whatever thing, where people are just quote unquote pouring money into it and willing to do it and backing it. You saw that kind of switch flip when it came to Satterfield, who never could recruit in his lifetime. Then NIL came along. Pete Thomas and whoever the backers were, Adidas and all that, started landing all these dudes. A lot of them did, or not a lot of them, but a few of them didn't end up coming because he left. Ruben Owens, that one didn't make sense, but I guess it's just, I'd rather go.
Texas A&M paid him a lot of money.
Adidas, yeah. Well, he was going to get paid a lot regardless. I still can't believe that he was committed to Louisville and got a tattoo of 502 on him. And he's still got 502 tatted on him, too. What an idiot. Anyway.
Patino?
Yeah, but Patino won a championship with him.
Not really.
It happened.
I watched it.
I was there.
I went to it.
Actually,
it was a dream.
Actually, it happened. 10 years ago. Is it tomorrow or the next day? It's either tomorrow or Sunday.
I can feel it.
Or Sunday.
Tomorrow. Yeah.
No, but it was one of those days. It's been 10 years, either tomorrow or Sunday.
Before you all played a meaningless game that never counted. That's great. Congrats. It's awesome.
I lived it. It was an experience, and I will never forget.
You can't take that from me, Dwight. It happened.
So for all of our UK fans that are watching, all 6 of you guys, let's transition.
You've been to
so a third of our subscribers.
Yes.
Can we transition? Because I have thoughts about Coach Cal, and it pains me to say all this
Hold
too.
up, guys.
Because
let him cook.
Let me cook. Just let me cook. But I really do want a U of L's perspective here. And I do feel weird talking about this after you guys just talked about a 4-28 season.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird.
But
you all have spent the entire season acting like you had a 4-28 season.
Let's just call it a disappointing season. We don't have to throw numbers out there.
You don't need to do the coach
is
defender
just
thing.
as painful though when you when you enter a season with expectations, you guys went into this season obviously maybe not expecting.
Y'all were touting national championship coming, big boy. There was a lot of that. A lot of
preseason number 4.
Yeah, and you had
preseason number 4.
Oscar Sheway, Big Osteen coming back.
In UK's defense, I mean, you're the University of Kentucky. You should probably be saying that every year.
Can you let him cook?
You should. No, I appreciate it. I want the context from you guys because I'm speaking from a UK's fan perspective. I want to know if I'm being like, because I feel you watch Pardon My Take, or not Pardon My Take, excuse me. You watch Pardon the Interruption. You watch Michael Wilbon say UK. Shout out. You watch Michael Wilbon say UK fans are entitled. They're whatever. Like Coach Cal's a great coach. Any program would be lucky to have him. UK fans are the worst. When you go into a season, preseason number 4, and you are struggling to even make the tournament, you're wondering if you're even going to win the first game, that's a disappointing season, especially when you know there's NBA talent on the roster, which there has been NBA talent on the roster every single year. Yeah. My thinking here is with Coach Cal, every time I've seen him on camera, he looks like he just got 2 hours of sleep. He looks like he's exhausted. He looks like he's ticked off. He looks like he just completely hates his life. And on the flip side, the fans are like, man, I don't like him either. So it's like a loveless marriage at this point.
He did a 4-minute interview so that way he got out of it by saying, I got to go walk the dog.
I mean, after losing his media commitments were literally him addressing the media for like 30 seconds and then having an assistant take over. I think he's over the fans. I think he's over us. He thinks that we think we know more than he does. Maybe we do. But I also think that the fans are over him. I think it is a marriage that is completely just loveless. Like, he wants his paycheck. We want to see next year's recruiting class, so we're willing to deal with another year. Yeah. My thinking is
lifetime contract.
It's a the buyout is tough.
Yeah.
So unless he's got another,
goes down to like $49 million.
Unless he sees another job opportunity that he thinks is comparable to save his reputation.
You're praying it was Texas. Well, not you. You personally are not praying that it was Texas.
But my thinking is like, and I want to hear your guys' perspective too. I think next year is the make or break year. I really do. We haven't had a team that was really competing for national championships since Fox and Monk were there. Yeah. That's 2016.
Going to get munked.
So ever since then, I mean, it has been a downhill slide.
No, there was a lady who said, we going to get munked today. We going to get munked.
Well, you're talking about, and you want to talk about, and we can go down that rabbit hole too. Fox and Monk on the same team at UK. They're on the same team as they're on the Sacramento Kings together, which are killing it in the NBA.
First time in the playoffs since like '99.
So it's like those two guys were on the same college team, and they went to the Sweet 16, Elite 8?
No,
maybe. It wasn't Final Four.
What year was that?
They lost. They lost to North Carolina, and they lost to North Carolina on a buzzer beater to Luke May, 2016.
Oh, okay, yeah. That was to go to the Final Four, right?
I think
that was the Elite 8, because that was the one where I was like, oh no, they're gonna go to the Final Four again.
That was the last season where we legitimately had a good team, a good championship caliber team.
So to put that in perspective, Trump 2016. You're saying
all downhill.
UK hasn't been good
since the Obama. Bring him back.
Trump back.
We should constitutionally change and allow for Obama to come back.
I don't know. I do think though, honestly, like from a realistic perspective, in my opinion, next year you've got to see a team that is at the top of the SEC. They've got to be a serious contender for the national championship. I'm not saying it's a Final Four or bust year, but I am saying
or bust.
They've got to be a real contender. Like, they've got to be like how Alabama was this year. Alabama obviously didn't make Final Four, but they were top of the SEC. They were known to be one of the top contenders. I think you've got to have a year like that. You've got to have some straight killers. You got to have that. If you don't, I think, honestly, I do think that next year is Cal's last year. I do think it's Cal's last year, if that doesn't happen.
No, I talk a lot.
Well, from looking at it, I think NIL, going back to it, NIL transfer portal, I think those are two things that have hurt Cal
100%
in the long run of all this.
Yep.
And Coach K did too.
Yeah.
When he decided to
Yeah.
And you see, and Roy Williams, same thing. Like, he was getting out for the same reason. Those guys were the top.
Oh, no, I was saying Coach K decided to take over for a bit when it came to the one and dones. Like, when it came to getting the top guys that Cal usually got, he decided, I'm getting them.
I mean, when you look at Coach Cal, you look at Bill Self, Roy Williams, Coach K, those guys, they perfected the one and done. Obviously, Coach Cal was at the top of that list. Mm-hmm. Now, the game has changed to where the way to win is to put together a well-structured team through the portal and through recruiting. Mm-hmm. You know, obviously team chemistry, like talent, you're not going to just be able to out-recruit teams and just win on talent anymore. I don't think that you can.
You go all the way back to when he was at Memphis. Like, he's had guys like Derrick Rose,
John Wall,
Cousins, Davis. You can go on and on and on.
Yep.
But he's got one title in all of those years.
Yep.
And that was the year with who was on that team? Davis.
You got Michael Kidd-Gilchrist.
Liggins.
I mean, that wasn't even the best NBA team. You've got Darius Miller.
You can argue he had the best player and all that with Anthony Davis.
100%.
But if John Calipari would have been an NBA GM at some point in his career, he would have probably been a great GM because he obviously knows talent. The question is, can he develop it and get it to another level? And I just don't think that's who he is as a coach. Now, don't get me wrong, he's an NBA or he's a Hall of Fame coach. He's a phenomenal basketball coach from the perspective of he puts a roster together that he's going to compete every year for either an SEC championship or, you know, somewhere in the tournament. But what always bothers me just watching basketball in general, you watch as the game is going late in the game and it's a close game and you've got to have something put together. You've got to go score.
Figure it out.
And it's the roll the ball out there. Here's my athlete. Go be an athlete. That
1,000%.
works when you're UK and you're playing this year's Louisville team.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't work if you're UK and you're playing,
right.
you know, even a team like San Diego State this year or something. Like, you look at that team, like you said, it's not a bunch of five-star dudes. It's guys who, they've got good basketball players either through recruiting or transfer portal. But at some point, there's some type of scheme that takes over. You know, Syracuse, Jim Boeheim, he never had a truly great roster overall. Minus Carmelo. And, you know, Devendorf. But
Johnny Flynn.
Whatever. Anyways, but he had a scheme of, all right, we're going to run this 2-3. Rick had the matchup 2-3 press. You know, there's something about his scheme. You watch one of the few games that I actually did watch in the tournament this year, Princeton. Princeton had sets after sets after sets.
Yeah.
Like, there was purpose to
it's a bunch of white guys. You have to.
Well,
there's no athleticism there. They got to get.
But there was purpose to what they're doing. You watch
very heady players.
You watch UK play.
Cerebral.
Yes. And
I mean, for the longest time, Coach Cal's philosophy, like, he would run things, but his whole philosophy was, and he even said this: if you want experience over talent, I'll take talent every time. That was his quote, right? Well, I would imagine because experience with you as the coach doesn't really give you much.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you want to just out-talent teams. Well, now, like, with the portal, like you said, with NIL, like, you're seeing a more dispersed, you know, talent pool. You're not going to be able to just out-talent teams unless you're playing someone very low level. Yeah. Like a U of L. Right?
Yeah.
So,
like Kenny Payne. Yeah.
But, I mean, that's the thing is, like, I truly believe that there has been no program with more talent in the past 10 years than UK. And you've got one championship to show for it.
Yeah.
Now, again, there was a run where we made, the Final Four 4 out of 5 years. Like, it's hard to complain about that. But it's been since 2016 since you've had a legitimate shot.
That was like the first half of his career at UK.
Yeah.
Now you're in the second half, and it ain't good.
And that was pre-NIL, and that was pre-transfer portal, where, he's going to go out and he's going to get these. Because he can walk into – he has something that a lot of recruiters don't. He can walk into some kid's house and say, hey, I can make you an NBA first-round pick. Which is
true. He used
to
be able to say that.
Well,
He used to be able to say that.
He got Daniel Orton to be a first-round pick, and where's that guy at nowadays?
Well, he's not allowed back in Kentucky, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that was weird.
That's why.
But the thing, too, and another thing, too, is I don't think Cal does a very good job of adapting to today's game. At today's game, you have to have at least 4 shooters on the court at all times. He has at most 2 at any time. So, like, you look at Reeves, shooter. Like, you look at Cason Wallace, okay shooter, but he's not a shooter. That's it. Like, Toppin was not a shooter. Shibwe would never shot a 3 all season. You look at
and at that position now, you have to be able to shoot.
You have to be able to shoot. I mean, even his point guard when he would use Wheeler was not a shooter. You know, and then the crazy thing is that some of these seasons he has had shooters that he didn't let shoot. You've got Karl Anthony Towns. He won the 3-point tournament in the NBA All-Star game. Didn't shoot a 3 at Kentucky.
Anthony Davis.
You've got Anthony Davis. He shot 3. He can shoot 3s in the NBA. Didn't shoot at UK. Devin Booker. I mean, he did shoot 3s.
Didn't see the floor.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, the thing is you've got to let these players like do more than
let your man's cook.
You got to let them cook.
But you also
got to let them cook.
But you have to have, because at the end of the day, they're also still 17, 18-year-old kids. So you've got to be able to, at some point, draw something up for them. I'm going to set them up to have success.
Right. Put a bow on the Coach Cal thing. I do think next year is a make or break year. I think that the fans are sick of it. I think he's sick of the fans, but with Cal, you do have a recruiting class that you feel good about. Now, whether he does anything with them is another story, but I think that next year it's a make or break. Like, can he do it with DJ Wagner? Can he do it with these guys? If the answer is no, I think you cut your ties.
And then they all transfer to Louisville.
No, because Kenny Payne can't recruit anybody. But my question is, how good do you feel about those guys right now, like the guys that you've coming in and the roster you have? Because Kenny Payne's had a lot, or not Kenny Payne, Calipari has had a lot of turnover that I wasn't expecting. Some of the guys who were leaving, Oscar Tshiebwe now, I guess you were expecting that one, but there was a lot of momentum building toward he was actually going to come out for another year. And then you lose, Caleb Love, and that's not the guy they were going after, but he went to Michigan. The Michigan guy, Hunter Dickinson. Mm-hmm. That was a guy that they were talking about replacing Tshiebwe, Big Osteen, and now he's off the table too.
Yep.
So I don't know where you go from there. I don't know if you just try to lean into all these young guys, Bradshaw.
You know, I don't really worry about Cal's players. Like, I think the talent will be there in Lexington every year. I think what Cal does with that talent pool, that's the question mark. Every year Cal has had NBA talent. So the talent will be there. What will Cal do with it? I think is always going to be the question mark. And, you know, me personally, I don't follow recruiting religiously. I don't follow the Bahama trip. I don't follow all of the off-season stuff because every single year Kentucky's hyped.
Right.
They're hyped up every year. They're top 10 preseason every single year. Mm-hmm. But there's no point in buying into that until you see what the product looks like in the regular season. So my thing is, am I optimistic? No. But, you know, I mean, I do want to see what DJ Wagner looks like. I want to see what some of these recruits look like. But I think that next year, if they're not top of the SEC, if they're not a legitimate contender, I think it's going to be tough for Cal to continue down this path, personally.
One of the things that worries me is I think it was Paul Biancardi said it the other day, which is, again, it's Biancardi, but he made a comment, I guess, when they were breaking down the talent coming into Kentucky. And I'm not going to pretend like most of these guys have actually watched every single recruit and they really know a lot about them. But he said they're good offensively, but they're not the most talented guys. Which is like what I'd say most talented, because I think this class overall, while UK has the best recruiting class, is not viewed as one of the better classes in the last 5-10 years that have been around. So that's the one thing that worries me a little bit. That would make me a little bit more have a little bit more trepidation about Kentucky's, especially when you're losing so many other guys. Because one thing that you can look at Calipari, and when he is successful at Kentucky, you got at least a few role players that have been there for a few seasons. Like when they won the championship, we talked about it earlier. Darius Miller was Liggins on that team, or was he the year before that?
Liggins was the year before.
Year before that,
yep.
Okay. Terrence Jones. You have guys that at least have a couple.
Deron Lamb had 2 years.
It's more than 2
Mark
or 3.
Steve was a freshman.
He was a freshman. Okay.
It's more than 2 or 3. It's the full roster.
But now what you're looking at too is the transfer portal has changed everything, right? Like, because typically when a player was not succeeding but he was good enough to play pro, he would go play overseas, right? Like now you can still make money and play in college. You can so like the talent pool has been more dispersed. And I think Cal has struggled with that because now he knows like other players or other teams are going to have a lot of talent. So you're not just going to be able to out-talent all these teams. And I think another thing, not just is he losing the fans, I think he's losing a little bit of like the administration. He's ticked off Coach Stoops, as we know, like calling us a basketball school, which is odd considering that the SEC champion was Alabama in basketball this year. So, like, what are you trying to say?
Also a basketball school.
Right, apparently. So, I mean, it's kind of like a guy, you're burning bridges, you're losing the people you had. Like, he's lost Kentucky Sports Radio, which I know we want to joke about, but, they have a big part of the fan base.
No, they do.
So, I mean, you tick off Matt Jones, you tick off the fans, you tick off the football coach. Like, at some point, if you're not winning, what else? What are you going to do? Who's going to save you?
You know who would? You know who could save you? Slick Rick.
So that's a good transition. So, yeah, that's a great transition. So, thank you, Ashton.
I was legitimately going to ask you, who would you pick over Calipari then right now that's legitimately going to come to UK to take over if that's what you're...
It's like, who would I want as the next coach? I would not want Patino. I do think we want to. I do think we.
No,
want,
it is. I know he's problematic right now, but to me, that's the best thing that could happen if you're a Kentucky fan. Well, is that Texas? Sorry to interrupt, but while you're at Texas, Texas has all the money they can keep him and retain him. I understand. There's a lot of red flags around him, given the issues that allegedly happened. Allegedly. The thing is, the girlfriend, she retracted what happened. So I don't know what did or didn't happen. My inclination says that yes, it happened. But at the same time, again, I like winning. I'm not a Kentucky fan, but I like winning. And you're telling me that Ole Miss right now has him. They're keeping him. They're safekeeping over there right now.
Ole Miss has very high standards.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, yeah. But anyway, if you're Kentucky, I'm looking at him as like they're just incubating this for you right now. They're letting him build up a little bit, give him a couple of years while the Cal situation pans out. Either he decides to go somewhere else, maybe a few more years tack off, then you can afford the buyout, whatever that be.
What happened?
But then go to Chris Beard, because to me, I think he is the guy.
What happened the last time UK hired another SEC basketball coach?
Really?
Billy Gillespie?
No, okay, that wasn't SEC.
Yeah,
at the
they
time.
weren't SEC at the time. They were
Okay,
12,
they're SEC now.
I mean, honestly, like Chris Beard was number one on my list, like before the choking.
He can still be.
Allegedly.
Well, you're an attorney.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
He choked her. He choked her so hard. But the thing is, he was he was the top of everyone's list, right? Like, he was the hottest coach in basketball. Like, he had Texas, like, rolling. I mean, they rolled even after he left, but he had built that team.
Scoot it toward me a little bit.
He had built that team great. And so,
Right
like,
over here, Daddy. Yeah.
no one went from, like, the top to the bottom as quick as Chris Beard did. Like, he is a legitimately good coach.
Rick did pretty quick.
Pretty quick, that's true. But, but Beard's in his prime. Like, Rick's a little bit older, but Beard is old. But, I mean, honestly, like, we know who the AD is at UK. He's not going to make a splash like that. Like, he's wanting to stay away from controversy. Drama. I don't see it happening at UK. I mean, I do think he's going to turn Ole Miss around. I think he's a fantastic coach. If he hadn't choked her, I mean, heck yeah, like bring her, but.
So back to my question.
Sometimes you have to choke somebody. I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, you know.
Do you stick with Calipari then?
They need their former UK guy. That's what they'll find. Their
obviously,
former UK
you've got your guys that like are your dream list, right? Like, just like when you're applying to colleges, you've got your dream schools. You've got your Billy G's.
JCC.
Not Billy G. Not Billy G. You got your Billy D's. You got your Billy Donovans. You've got your Jay Wrights. You've got your, you've got your dream guys, right? Like, realistically, is that going to happen? Probably not. Do you then like drop to a Musselman? Do you go to a Nate Oates? Do you look for a Mick Cronin? Those aren't like screaming success names to me, but. I don't know. I mean, I just don't think Calipari at this stage of his career has it anymore. And I don't even think he doesn't seem like he has the energy to do what it takes anymore. So
that's what upsets me from the outside looking in. It just looks like he's completely complacent.
Right. He doesn't seem like he has the fire. He doesn't have the, like we always say, swaggy Cal. He doesn't have that anymore. Right. He looks like he is not having fun.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like he's having fun. The players don't look like they're having fun.
He looks like he's in physical therapy.
Yeah.
He looks like he's literally like hanging in there.
Yeah.
Like
pretty much, we're all hanging in there.
Yeah,
I mean,
and he's totally fine doing that, making the money, and not having to worry about actually competing.
He does not look like he's having fun.
He said replace hip though, right? He said like a hip. He's got like a fake.
No, like he literally
like,
looks like he has physical therapy, like coaching wise. Like I'm not talking about physically himself. I'm talking about like he's just. He's good with where he's at, and he doesn't have to do anything
that
else.
kind of money. You can
I know,
chill.
but I'm saying like I think
that doesn't seem like his kind of thing. Though.
Agreed.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he's concerned. People like him are concerned about legacy, right?
Yeah.
So they don't want to be like the guy that just sucked UK dry for their money. Like he wants to be like someone that went down as one of the better coaches.
I thought that's what he was. Yeah.
He gets off on I am the guy who puts people in the first round of the NBA draft every year. I'm the guy.
But that doesn't matter anymore.
Wins. It doesn't. But that's you look at him in the past like. What is his like go-to like what he does? It's not I won a championship. It's I have gotten this many guys into the NBA in the first round. Mm-hmm. But if you're UK, do you make say Calipari leaves, you fire him, whatever happens? If you're UK, do you not make Brad Stevens tell you no?
You make
3 times?
You make 3 people tell you no. You make Brad Stevens tell you no. You make Jay Wright tell you no. You make Billy Donovan tell you no. They're all gonna tell you no. But you make them tell you no.
Right.
Once they've told you no, what are you laughing because those are the names that everyone brings up?
Why the fuck did you bring up Brad Stevens? Really? Brad Stevens not coming to Kentucky.
No, none of them are. None of them are, but you still make
when you go to Duke, he didn't go whatever. He's not going to your mom's house. He's not going to any of these places. He does not want to go there. Like you're wasting time with Brad Stevens at this point.
You make him tell you no. That's all I'm saying. You make him tell you no.
So
then you go to the Musselman. Then you go to Nate Oates. I don't really like
So
Nate Oates.
if Kenny Payne were to get fired tomorrow, if you're U of L, would you not at least call Brad Stevens?
No, because I know the
say no?
answer.
Because U of L's no.
Okay,
offense.
I know it's
I don't
different,
think U of
but-
L's at the same like level as you.
Brad Stevens can get any job he wants.
I agree that, but if you're not if you're the AD and you're not at least calling to make him say no,
You're not doing your due diligence.
You're not doing your job. Disagree with me.
I don't disagree with you, but I think as a sane human being, that's a giant fucking waste of time. Because I mean, if he didn't go to Duke, if he didn't go to North Carolina, if he didn't go to all these big time jobs, he ain't coming to Louisville. And he's not. Well, I mean, I understand the allure that Kentucky has, but I still don't think.
I don't think he will either. Like I said, I think all 3 of those names.
Billy Donovan, maybe.
I don't. He's told us no twice.
Yeah, but at this point, he's kind of like
He's.
You understand who you're
Free
talking
money.
to, right? You're talking to Ashton. He's got to shoot a shot.
He's got to shoot a shot.
Shoot shot.
If you've ever been on Instagram, if you've ever seen a thirst trap, you've seen this man's name because he likes every single one of them.
So this is a good segue into our next segment.
I appreciate
Beauty. The art form of the human body.
I've gone through.
The female form, nude.
As close to it as legally possible.
We're gonna need to cut that
on Instagram.
No, we're not.
Honest question. What is like when it comes when I ask this, I want to be a little bit careful with this. Do you view like?
Oh, so you're not gonna be careful at all?
No. I say that to preface.
I hear the sarcasm.
I say that to preface that whatever I say is going to be flagrant. It is going to be absolutely a problem.
Do it.
When you hit those likes. Like, do you view that as, like, flirting? Do you view that as, like, I'm just giving her respect? How do you view it? Like, do you view it as, like, maybe...
Respect.
Like, no, like, this has been my opinion. Because, like, no, my question is, like, I'm married. I'm not gonna, like... I'm not doing that. I don't need... But, like, if I were single, like... You know, and people can be shy. People can not want, but maybe if I leave a like out there, maybe she'll reach out. Maybe she'll be like, "What's up, big daddy?"
She's only got 1,000 likes.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, she only got 1,000 likes.
One more.
But my question is like,
She'll see me.
what's the motivation there? Is it like of show appreciation, or you just
I appreciate what you're showing me.
think I like what you showed me?
I need more of this.
She showed me her movies, and I like them too.
I like them too. Thank you.
No, the reason. Okay, so the reason I transition into this, one of the questions, like when I ask this, the reason I ask, because this is something I've thought about in the past. So, like, when we were younger, and you're in high school, and you're whatever, like, maybe you're a little bit more, I use the word trepidation a lot, but maybe you would avoid...
You filling this bourbon, huh?
Shooting your shot. No, I'm not at all.
Okay.
This is just how I talk.
Okay.
No, I'm not. But one thing I will say,
Is he drinking the first thing?
That's
that was poured?
still, yeah.
Okay.
I've been drinking my beer.
That was long gone.
I'm gonna
drank
need
that a long
this
time
is
ago.
mine, by the way, because I need to figure out what it is.
Okay, and I have written down my tasting notes, so don't worry, guys. It's gone.
Oh, good.
But I have notes.
One thing I can say is when I actually do sniff this,
Yeah.
I can actually get a bit of that barrel, like the barrel smell, like flavor. Because normally the other ones I usually don't. I usually just get like burning bourbon,
Yeah. Do you smell oak?
burning shit.
Like oak wood?
I don't know what oak.
Maybe
smells
some
like.
water and like oak wood, like
Like
Is
kinda
this-
like wood? Like you
Does
smell
it-
wood? You smell a tree?
The reason I asked that, so like one of the reasons I bring that up, because I was thinking about when we were younger. I
So
started,
here's
like,
the whole reason that Justin actually did this podcast. He wanted to like dig into Ashton. Go ahead.
No, not actually for any of you.
Okay,
Any of you.
I'm interested.
Ashton just happens to be the single one here.
Yeah.
But the reason I ask is like when it comes to like now at your age, that biological clock's ticking. So
That's
like,
not true.
No,
Biological clocks
actually,
don't
yeah, yours
exist.
is good. It's the female side.
Yeah.
Do you view
Well,
it? Like if
I mean,
you
they say the same age. He gets older, but they say the same.
No, but like my question is like at your age now, and I probably would not be different, but like, do you view it like if there's a girl you're interested in, do you just shoot your shot? Do you go for it, or do you just kind of like still slow play it? Like, especially, I mean, I'm talking about like the dating scene nowadays is what I'm, no offense, thankful I'm not in.
When I think of Coach Cal, I think of young girls dating Instagram.
Well, I thought
That's
we were-
exactly what I was hoping to have this conversation about. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No,
What's
mean,
the play?
to-
What's the play? After the like,
Yeah.
after you double tap, what do you
Okay,
do
you're
next?
coach. What's the game plan, coach?
Okay.
Forgive me. I don't remember how Instagram's set up. Like, does it compile your own likes?
Yes,
Like when you
yes.
okay, so do you like things
As
that
someone,
when you go
as
back
someone
and
who
use
is
your-
married, as someone who is married who has checked my likes, your likes are recorded.
She checks your
Like,
likes.
hold on, but like, is there like a
Once.
place that you go and like you can like scroll up to like see every picture that you've
Yes,
liked, like in
correct.
chronological order?
Correct.
Oh, dude,
Honestly, I didn't.
I understand now.
No, I really did not.
Okay, gotcha. I didn't know.
I really don't.
No.
No, but back to your question before all that was.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, dating in your 30s is not easy now.
Okay, seduce me. How would you do
Way
it?
easier than it used to be, right?
You're much easier than normal.
Okay, titty. Let's
But-
go.
So the podcast is about Ashton getting laid. Is that?
Well, that's a portion. We're gonna get him laid. Yes, it will be part of it, and we'll film it.
You guys will enjoy it.
Dwight and I hanging out by the couch, and then we got him, and then we pull the camera.
I don't think Dwight's gonna be there.
he
won't
might.
be there.
He might.
Be in church.
It's Good Friday, everybody. Have a good Friday.
It's good. Remember, Brian woke up in a puddle of piss on Good Friday about
I remember that.
12 years ago. 11, 12 years ago.
Good Friday. I still have pictures.
If that was on Instagram, I would have liked that because I'd appreciate that.
My son has seen those pictures.
Ashton, continue though. Let's hear it.
No, but to your point of like dating in your 30s, like yeah, it's much different than it was when we were in college. We don't go out to the bars anymore. You don't meet people that way. Now everything's through some type of dating app, which dating apps are awful because you're not getting to know somebody. You're just off the bat. You swipe right or left, and you're talking through text, and then if you meet up.
Text your dick is it open? You're like, what the fuck?
Sounds way easier than it used to be,
Awful, dude. I feel
actually.
so goddamn.
I'll be honest. Part of it, like right when we all.
My dick is in you.
When I first,
Dating's way harder now.
when I,
Like, I don't have to buy her shit.
I don't even
she
get
just
to,
shows up
like-
in my house and watch Netflix and my dick's inside. Like,
I
That's how it
would
works,
say
right?
there is an appealing nature to. I can just sit back on my couch and just swipe until somebody responds.
yeah,
And you just
because
keep
you're
going.
fat and lazy, right?
Yeah.
Exactly, like me.
Yeah.
Right, I get it. Okay, that's fair.
No, but like,
I don't
okay.
want to put any effort. I don't want to
No,
work
it's
out.
funny.
I don't want to like look
No.
physically appealing.
You're,
No, I did
you're
that.
all-
I did a minimum of that. Well, until we started dating, and then she gets what she gets. She got the ring. She got the kids. Now it's it's all going to hell.
If you can trick one, that's a good enough.
yeah, you just
right.
got
Yep.
1,000 no's
Sorry,
and one
Ashley,
yes.
what?
So yes every time.
Your all's children's generation is so screwed.
I as a father to a daughter, I have no idea what the hell it's going to be like in 10 to 15 years. I'm so scared. Like,
Yeah, you have to pay for that wedding too.
I know who I am. Like, it's.
I know who I am.
I know who I am. I can't imagine.
I don't know who you are. I know who I am.
No. I'm talking about, like, I know how I think. Like, I can't even fucking process. Like, you have the same. Why are we talking about this?
It's a great question.
Yeah, we went off on a fucking tangent.
Well, I think some people have. Well, no,
We're not going to talk about this. We need to cut this all out. I'm not even joking. Like, legitimately.
Back to Ashton.
No, but before you cut, like, I have no problem talking about that. But again, like,
No, the reason.
gotta G it down for if
Yeah.
people in my school. Ever
No, well, yeah, but the reason
Especially kids.
I will bleep out.
Especially the hot ass bitches.
All I asked was the part like.
Justin needs to know for himself.
Yeah,
not for everybody else.
I need to know
Can you
when
rephrase the question?
I need to know when Sarah finally realizes, I can do better than this. What the dating market's like. How would you pursue a relationship?
With your wife?
No, not my wife. Not her. I mean, maybe, but like, no, not her. But like, I mean, yes.
I mean, nowadays it is all through, some type of dating app.
Yeah, we heard that. Go ahead.
And, well,
Have you gone
that
out-
part got cut.
Is there any have you ever approached anybody in public?
Not really, because I don't go out ever. I'm at either work or football practice or, doing this kind of stuff.
Where are you going with this? Like, I feel like you're digging a little bit much into, like, specifically Ashton.
It's not specifically Ashton. I was gonna bring up the topic just because my personal opinion, my personal feeling is I personally it would suck. Because I think also outside of Sarah, who was very upfront about which was also a little bit too much at first when we first started dating, where we talked for a long time, but then when we actually talked about seriously dating, she was very upfront about what she expected out of it, what her where she wanted a relationship would lead to marriage kind of thing. Nowadays, people don't talk like that. People avoid going to marriage, or it's just very, very loose. They just want to hook up, kind of culture, kind of stuff.
Yes and no. I mean,
and so if you're actually pursuing that, it sucks.
yeah. I mean, if you're my age and you're single, I feel like that conversation honestly happens a little bit sooner, because you're not trying to waste a lot of time.
Yeah, those eggs are drying up for her.
I mean, but you have that conversation a little earlier on of expectations, because you're older, you don't want to waste 5-6 months with somebody and then find out, oh well, we have completely differing opinions on expectations, either for kids, marriage, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have those. I think you have those conversations a lot earlier, dating in your 30s than we did when we were 20 something, and just
Yeah. No, I just remember when we were outside of Sarah, before that, it was always just kind of this game of you're dating but you're not really that serious kind of thing,
I mean, they're probably still playing that game at that age, right? At
a little bit.
in the early, not at your age, not
when you're
our age,
24,
but when you're in the
20, whatever.
20s, early 20s, you're probably still playing the same game we were playing.
Well, I think
right?
I think it's worse. I think it's a lot worse, because I think a lot of people are. I mean, it's very much I don't know. I kind of feel the idea, and I'm not trying to say marriage, the religious aspect of marriage, but the idea of finding a single partner and staying with that person is not as common, or it's very much why would I do that when I can go
tax
loot
breaks.
it up? Tax breaks, yeah, they help, yeah.
No, but yeah, I think nowadays, because everything is more expensive, people are putting off, getting married or having kids until later on in life. You all didn't, but that's because you all are.
I think I did.
We did. I would say we did. I mean, I was 30 when I had my first kid.
I was also 30 when I had my first kid. I was also 29 when I got married. I feel like it's pretty late.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sorry, no, we don't.
I don't mean like that, but I mean and it's also double standard, because women obviously mature faster, younger, and then they
Sexually.
obviously peak off. So you have these, I'm not done living.
They peak off. Are you speaking intellectually as well?
They're in. Oh my god! Have you guys heard about the fucking Don Lemon thing? He said,
I think I'm listening to it right now. Actually,
You're going. Yeah, no, it literally was this right now.
Yeah, to me, there's a serious conversation to be had there. When it comes to I just couldn't imagine. And I say this, I'm sorry, I'm not saying it because you're in the reality of it, but to me, I would have hated trying to figure out, because there is no to me, I feel like unless you're going to church, you're trying to find somebody there, but then you go to church, everybody's fucking married. Everybody's married at church for the most part. You go to Surgery Midtown, that was one where they were like younger kids, but like I don't know, like we have a guy in a group that I have who's also single, who's like.
Hold on, are you saying that you went to church to hook up with a chick?
No, well, I mean.
Oh, we're finally getting down to it, huh?
No, I mean I believe it. No, I mean I'm staying with it for the right reason. But no, I tried to go to church with other girls too. That came out weird.
Yeah, that's gonna stay in.
No, but I always I have a belief in God, and why are we doing this?
You went to a lot of different churches, right? Like you went to mass, and then you went to like temple. You went to
Bill Cosby.
I know there is a God. I just don't know which one there is. Like I just gotta.
No, but like I was pursuing that, and like Sarah, I went with Sarah. But like yeah, I mean, it's not like I just went just because of it, but it helped me find an entryway into that too.
So Rick Pitino.
Yeah. Speaking of sexual escapades, let's go. Yeah, let's
get into that. So no, seriously. So like,
anal.
I think
What a cluster.
obviously he has moved on. St. John's, right? Like, I think U of L fans and UK fans have very different feelings towards him. Still,
different than each other.
Yes, correct. I do.
Okay. Let's hear it.
So let me just like guess as to what you guys think, because I've heard from various U of L fans that I know. And they still love Rick. Like, they still have very fond memories of him. They think he was the dude that if anyone gets the blame, it's the administration, it's the NCAA for overreacting. Rick is the dude. Like, I don't know if I want to say they
nostalgia.
want. Yeah, I don't want to say they necessarily want him back, but some people definitely do.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think it's fair. Yeah.
Okay.
Especially now that we've gone 4-28.
My guy Steve Rummage said this on there because he's a Kenny Payne guy, but he said, I would kick Kenny Payne out of a moving plane if it meant that I could get Rick Pitino back at Louisville or something like that. He's just
that's
on the
murder.
ground or like in the air?
Yeah, that's
I
murder.
don't know if it was a plane or maybe he just said he would kick him to the curb.
I got
is
you.
what I'm saying.
I got you.
Like for Rick Pitino, because like to me, yeah, I would too. I mean, I would do that.
Rick Pitino now
I would do that
today,
for both
or
coaches.
like for like the last like 5-6 years.
I think Rick Pitino today. I think he is one of the best basketball minds.
So what's he gonna do at St. John's?
I think he's,
What's his roof?
What's his roof?
Yeah, what's
the ceiling's the roof.
The ceiling.
But I think honestly,
Legitimately though, like you think
I think he can compete to go to a Final Four. I think he can.
at St. John's?
I think right now, I want to see what he does. I mean, he's hitting the recruiting, the NIL stuff. He's going after Carter Bryant, who's also. It's funny because like he got hired at St. John's, and like Carter Bryant's a guy who's reclassifying that Louisville's looking at. I don't know if UK was looking at him. I think they are, but Louisville's looking at him, and then Alabama, Arkansas, whatever, and then Rick Pitino comes in and he offers him like the next day. So a lot of Louisville fans were like, "You want to cheer for Rick? Now he's coming after your players." And I'm like, I hope he gets him. I hope he gets Carter Bryant because bleep Kenny Payne because he ain't gonna do anything with him. So
I mean, honestly, Kentucky fans I think have a similar feeling in the sense of when a player now leaves our program.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be like if a player leaves UK, you're like, well, screw that guy. He's entitled, whatever, blah, blah, blah. He didn't want to stick it out. Now it's like, go show him up. I mean, it's almost like you want to see Kyle Welcher do well at Gonzaga. You want to see like Charles Matthews do well at Michigan. And the more times than not, they have been. Mm-hmm. So it's almost the same thing where it's like you're cheering for the dudes in spite of your coach. Almost,
right.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't know. But
out of frustration,
I do think it's interesting because I will speak, at least from a UK fan's perspective, we don't hate Rick like we used to, right? Like when he was at U of L, we hated his guts.
I think it helped that him and Calipari.
And it helped, and it made the rivalry amazing.
Yeah,
right? Like it was
a good
awesome.
time.
We still, I don't think we have the same feelings you guys have. Like in my opinion, this is like a Colin Cowherd example, but it's like you're dating this really hot chick, right?
Thank you. That's exactly where I'm going.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
You're dating this hot chick. She breaks up with you. You're sad.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Right.
A few months later, she's dating your absolute worst enemy.
Right.
Like the dude you freaking cannot stand.
Yep.
And you're just like, I hate her for life. Like always. I want nothing but bad things for her in her life.
Well, all the bad things that happen to you and all of you.
Her and your enemy break up.
Right.
But you still hate her.
Yeah.
Like you still are just like, I hate you for life.
She's tainted good.
And so like, yeah, you mature. She matures, you all move on. You know, you're out of you're out of your 20s. You're mature.
Right.
You're still not rooting for her. Like, you're still hoping she still, like, has a
Something
bad day.
in the back of your head.
Yeah, something's just like, you know what?
No.
That was messed up what you did to me.
Yep.
So, like, I think that's where UK fans are with him.
And we're the
and it's like, and you still realize she was hot. She was bad, but she was not a good person.
Right.
You don't want her to succeed.
And we're the other person in that relationship.
Correct. Like, you're the guy who you guys got broken up by, like, your parents. Like, he was out of your control. You know what I mean? Like, you all still wanted to be together.
That's great. That's great.
So that's where I think the difference is. Like, we don't hate him like we used to. You're not still dating our enemy.
Right.
But, like, that was messed up.
See, I feel like
that's where we're at.
That's a beautiful analogy.
That was good. Either break up or sending you to boarding school.
I was really hoping he was just going to say that was good and just nothing else. That was his input.
Again, I know ball.
My personal opinion, and see, I'm kind of surprised. I kind of thought more UK fans would be loving up on him a little bit more because, one, obviously, like, I mean, Strebel told me, like, he loves Rick, like, so much. Like, now that it's over and he's past Louisville and all that stuff, like, he looks back at those 90s years. And he's a little older than us, so, like, we're younger. So, like, you lived those years, but you were, what, 5, 6, 7?
He left in 98, right?
Yeah, so you're 7,
I was 7, 8.
Yeah, 7, 8.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. Like, I remember a lot of my, like, formative sports, like, fanhood years. Of course, those years were bad years for, like, Diddy Crumb, but, like, weren't until, like, 2000s, like, really, that I really got into it and really dove into it and have solid memories. Like, I think it's probably, like, really Reese Gaines in 99 that I really remember.
Right.
But, like, so it's hard for me, being our age, to look at that, but he's looking back at it as, like, those were, like, the best years. Like,
well, even, I mean, I think I got into college basketball pretty early. So, like, I remember the 96, 97. I actually really do. And, you know, when he left to go to the Celtics, we were like, man, that stinks. Like, we're losing a really good coach. Like, just like in this example, like, man, I'm not going to get any hotter chick than that. Like, that sucks.
Labor's not walking through that door.
But I still remember literally, vividly, the day that I heard he was going to U of L. I'm like, no, he's not going to U of L. That's not happening. Like, it was very much like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just don't think UK fans can get over that.
I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And I remember.
I mean, it did help in the sense that Cal did, as bad of a coach as I think Calipari is, he had his number. I think that helped us, like, ease the pain that Cal could still beat him somehow. I
think Cal and Stoops are kind of the same, where, like that's the one thing I'm jealous of. Like, Kentucky had coaches that cared a lot. They care a lot about that rivalry. Like, Cal may not act like it. Stoops, you know, he wants to win that game because that's, like, all he needs to do to make.
Oh well, Cal cared about it because it was
Rick. Rick.
I don't know if he cares about U of L, but he cared about U of L.
It was like his idol and his whatever. A lot of my Rick hate, obviously, or not Rick hate, Cal hate came from, obviously, Memphis and the times there. I remember that 04. I was so happy watching him try to pick Darius Washington up when he missed those free throws.
I just can't imagine how much he must hate his family to still be coaching.
I agree.
Like, he must absolutely despise...
Joanne.
I don't know her name. I just know he must despise his family.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. There's no way you go to Greece because you want to coach back. Dude, there's you know, not flames. There's actually flamethrowers and stuff in there. Like, smoke, dudes are chain smoking cigarettes, and you're over here coaching, you know, I don't know their name, Christoph or whatever, trying to shoot basketball, and, like, you can't see anything that's going on in there. It's got to be miserable. It's also, like, not the greatest part of Greece, I'm pretty sure. It was during a bad time. But to go there just to go coach basketball, like you couldn't go anywhere else to find, you know, some kind of secondary, like, at least somewhere safer at the time. I mean, Greece is fine, but I would have done that. And then he ended up going, I mean, I'm not going to go through it, you know, Iona and all that crap, but, like, just the way that he's so committed that he's willing to work his way back up.
He literally fell off the ladder, and that was the perfect time to say, like, I've made my millions, like, I'm good. He was like, no, I will start from the very bottom, and I will build this back.
Well, no, what he did was...
It is nuts.
What he did was he said... I'm done coaching. I'll never coach again.
Yeah.
And he would every time. I will never coach again. I will never talk about the University of Louisville again. I will never, whatever. He keeps bringing stuff up, and he keeps doing it.
And, he has a tattoo.
He has a tattoo.
Yeah, he has a tattoo.
Rick's one of those.
L1C4.
Rick's one of those, though. I feel like he's going to coach Basically,
Until he dies.
Until he dies.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at that.
Well, he said he wants to die on the court. He said he wants somebody just to roll him up like on the court, and he wants to be drug off when he dies.
Well, that'll be interesting TV when
might.
that happens.
It would be.
So, obviously one thing that is fun is always having Rick around. Like, I'm not going to cheer for him, but it's always good to have him.
He
like,
makes college basketball more fun to watch.
Yeah, and so like even as a UK fan, I was glad to see him in the tournament. Like, what did you guys think of the tournament? What was your all's like?
Loved it.
Oh, well, yeah. So Ashton, obviously, like I said at the beginning, like won our bracket.
Way to go, Huskies.
What did you guys think? Like, what kind of rating would you give it as far as just like from a casual sports? UK didn't have a real legitimate chance of winning it. U of L obviously not in it. So like from a casual watching perspective, what do you guys think?
Go ahead.
I'll say, because I'm probably the most casual basketball watcher here, and by casual I mean I didn't watch anything until the tournament essentially. I loved it because I think basketball and sports is better when it's not the same teams every year. Last year we got all blue bloods in the Final Four, which is, it's fine. It's good basketball for the most part. But watching teams like Princeton, San Diego State, FAU, UConn, who was, a good team all year. But teams like that getting to the Final Four.
Did you know UConn was a good team all year?
I did when I made my bracket. And
How did you pick that?
How many times you watch UConn?
I saw Jay Billis picked it. And he
So
was like,
what I did was there was something out there about like basically all the champions from whatever year it was have to be east of the Mississippi. They had to be in the top 10 at whatever week it was, and broke it down. So from there, I went with UConn. Yeah. So thank you, whoever did that.
What?
And
Is that real?
Yeah, it's a thing. I don't know where it was, but I saw it.
Yeah.
It was all this like you had to be in top 10 at this week, whatever it was.
Baylor's not east of the Mississippi, is it?
Who?
Baylor?
Don't think so, but I didn't pick Baylor, so it doesn't matter.
No, I'm talking about from last, because it's probably following trends over the years, right?
Yeah. Whatever it was. But that's how I got to UConn. But I thoroughly enjoyed watching the tournament where,
Baylor's Texas.
you get those upsets. And you look at the first round. Purdue loses to,
That's Purdue. They're miserable.
but the last time.
wait, time out. Do you know who they lost to?
Oral Roberts? No.
No.
Who'd they lose to?
Fairleigh Dickinson.
Fairleigh Dickinson.
Yeah,
Hardly Dickinson.
There you go.
finally.
But fun fact, Purdue will be my national champion next year because the last time a 1 seed lost in the first round, they won it all the next year.
I don't see that. Virginia.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Purdue is not going to happen.
No.
Purdue is the most miserable fan base.
I'm gonna hold you to that in the bracket.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
April 8th,
You have to.
2023.
Only
I'm
one-
calling it right
in
now.
only one bracket. You only
I hope
if
you
you
mean
do multiple brackets, you
2024.
have to pick them.
No, I'm saying like April 8th, 2023. I'm saying
Oh,
now, next year, Purdue will be one of my champions in my brackets.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I would give it an A-, and the only reason I wouldn't give it an A+ is just solely because of the championship game. Like the championship game,
Oh,
was
yeah.
huge, and that's what you don't want to see. But like, it had everything up to that, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
buzzer beaters. It had
FAU, San Diego State
yeah.
was great.
It had like historic upsets with obviously Fairleigh Dickinson, like you said. It had a traditional powerhouse, in UConn adding another championship. So like, it had everything you would want until the championship game. So I mean, I think it's tough to complain about that.
Question for you all, because you all watch basketball more than I am, or I do. UConn, blue blood or no?
I say yes. What do you guys think?
At this point,
I mean, if you look at, so I was asking my dad this, like I was debating that with him, and his take was they're not a blue blood. And I asked him, I said, when were you born? And he said 1956. I was like, how many championships?
Old as fuck?
Yeah, completely old. I said, how many championships has UK won since you were born?
Right.
He said 5.
yeah,
It's like, how many championships has UConn won since you were born? He said 5.
right.
It's like, all right, well, I mean, they are the ultimate feast or famine team. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like they're either the national champion or they're just not in the picture. But, I mean, you count the rings, right? Like, you count the rings. So I think that you've got to call them. I think you've got to call them a blue blood.
What's your definition of a blue blood? And the reason I ask that is because there's a lot of people. I think a lot of people's idea of a blue blood is something that can't be earned. And the reason I bring that up is a lot of times blue bloods is basically old money. That's what a lot of the times it means. And it means like, in football, Alabama, in basketball, you can put it down to, I can't believe somebody, I think it was Jay Williams, who I wouldn't listen to anything he says anyway, but put out his list of blue bloods in the sport, and he did not include Kentucky. And I was like, get the hell out of here. But if you talk about blue bloods, it's North Carolina, Kentucky, Kansas, and Duke. Those are cemented in. Those are always going to be there, historically. Duke's a little bit newer money there.
They're newer money. I mean, and then obviously, like if you're gonna include older money, you've got to obviously include UCLA, right? You've got to include Indiana if you're talking old money.
But real quick, because of that,
I think they are slipping.
Okay,
I think they're about to slip out.
Indiana and UCLA, can you lose blue blood status?
Yes.
You can lose it?
Yes.
What does it take to lose it? So, like, it's a little bit different. Louisville has 3 national championships. I don't know, like, Louisville's like a Go ahead.
I was waiting for Dwayne.
I was waiting for 2.
Yeah.
I was waiting for something. Anyway.
You're about to lose what?
I would say they're fringe of that area. They're not blue blood, but they're like that second tier, whatever, B tier.
Yeah, I mean,
for the A tier is blue blood, B tier is what I would say they were.
Purplish blood.
But the reason,
two championships.
Not the same sport,
okay.
but yes, I'd agree. You can either gain or lose that blue blood.
I think once you
title,
gain it, it's
but you look at Army back in like the 50s and 60s. They were a blue blood football program back then. Now, not.
Well, that's a lot of the argument against. Like, that's why people try to use that against.
You
Kentucky
can lose it
in North Carolina, or not North Carolina, UCLA, and Indiana, because Indiana has won a championship since '87. Like, that's the last time.
To that point, I think that's been long enough. I think Indiana is at risk of losing it. I don't think UCLA has lost it yet because they have. Even though they have not won a championship in a long time, they have been relevant. The Westbrook years, the Kevin Love years, even with Jaquez, and Tiger Campbell, like they've been relevant. They've been around the conversation. Indiana has not been around the conversation in a long
Minus
time.
that one game they beat UK on.
In December, so I wouldn't even.
Right.
So who cares?
Is being in the conversation good enough? Like, you have to seal the difference.
I think it is enough when you have the most championships of any team in the country. Like and
UConn's done a lot of this recently, so you could say recently they're a blue blood.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to UConn, that's when and I know we got on tangents because I needed to find a blue blood, and then after that, if you know that you can attain blue blood status later on, absolutely UConn is if you can do that, because UConn is one of the most winningest teams as of late when it comes to winning championships. My issue is I'm sick of UConn lucking into championships because they've 2 of them.
It's
11
hard to
and
say
14,
they lucked into one.
2 of them.
Which ones?
11 and 14. Kimball Walker went off, and then
Kimball Walker
beat teams, man.
But with the regular season, they were not that good. Louisville beating them both times in the regular season, and then you have 2014 where Louisville dominates them by 30 in the AAC championship, and you guys can't put it away.
Yeah. Regular season.
I'm
all you had to
happy
do was beat us. If you beat us, then
then probably Louisville probably has two they get vacated. We could have had 2 championships vacated.
Nice.
That's all I ask. How hard is
I don't
that?
know. I think that it's hard to get into the conversation of blue blood. I do think once you have breached that, I think it's hard to lose.
It's hard when you breach, yeah.
But I think Indiana has sucked for so long that they are ready to lose that status.
So do you take Indiana out and put UConn in?
I would. I personally would.
How many championships does Indiana have?
5, which is the same amount as UConn.
Right.
Yeah.
That's surprising to me
But
because
Indiana
I've
did.
never thought of Indiana as a blue blood because I'm not.
Because you haven't. Yeah, I mean, because they were winning the championship.
Not relevant
before you
since
were
I've been
alive.
born. Right. Exactly.
Exactly. I don't know. I would vote yes. I would vote. They're a blue blood. Honestly, I mean, they're not going anywhere. Under Dane Hurley, he is a good coach. He has put together a good program. I think they're going to be a contender next year. So.
Glad to see Bill Murray get to watch his son win a championship.
Not with us.
Not with you, Bill.
Bill Murray was a curse when he was at Louisville. Every time he came, they lost. Every single time, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was his fault.
I don't think it was every time, but it was more than it wasn't.
I think it was one game they won.
Yeah.
I think there was a rotating tally.
So back to Ashton's dating life.
No, wait. So real quick, I just have to ask. We're talking about the men's tournament. Did you guys watch the women's tournament?
There was a women's tournament?
Did you not watch the women's tournament? Anyone watch any of those games?
I watched the women's game for Louisville and when they get knocked out.
Iowa.
The Elite
Iowa.
Yeah, it was the Elite Eight.
I watched the Elite Eight Louisville women's basketball game.
Caitlin, I don't know.
Caitlin Clark. What was your thoughts? What were your thoughts when she gave a little trash talking to UofL's?
If a guy, I think if a male athlete did that, we wouldn't.
I'd slug him.
It wouldn't be talked about as much because it's a female athlete. I think it was blown out of proportion. They're competitors. They're going to do things. I mean.
You're talking about Caitlin and UofL, or are you talking about the championship?
Because she did it against Louisville, and then
she did it to Haley Van Lith, but they're also friends, so it's kind of like you're good to talk.
She did what though?
She
gave her the "you can't see me"
right
as they were going into a timeout. They were going into a timeout. Game's still going on. They're going to the benches. She gave her a little this as she was headed to the
Great setup. Go for what you actually want to talk about.
So who watched the national championship game?
I did not. So highlights.
Anyone. Now listen, Justin, did you?
I saw. I watched the very end of it. I did not care enough to watch it from the beginning to end. I'm sorry.
Having had a daughter, I watched the full.
Good for you.
Game.
As a girl dad myself, I also did because I support. No, but seriously, I can't stand women's basketball. I can't believe I'm talking about women's basketball. But I was hooked. Like, I watched every single second of Iowa, South Carolina. Watched every single second of Iowa, LSU. Was super pumped for that game. Caitlin Clark is insane. Like, she is legitimately the Steph Curry of women's basketball. I could not. So when I'm watching that game, Caitlin Clark, obviously, like, she had a tournament to, like, remember. Like, she scored more points in that tournament than Iowa's football team scored all season.
Is that real?
That's real.
No,
that's a real stat.
They were really bad offensively.
So
UK was somehow worse in that bowl game, but
she was worth watching just on her own. Now, like Angel Reese, like for LSU, she had been a lightning rod all year for LSU. So I was like, I'm kind of excited for this game. I'm gonna watch this, and it was good quality basketball. Obviously, very end, everyone knows what happened. Like Angel Reese trolled her with this. At the free throw line.
It was this.
No, it was this. Well, it was this at first, right?
Okay.
And she did it at the free throw line. Now, look, if you talk trash, you have to be able to take it. Like, if you're going to dish it, you got to take it,
Absolutely.
right? Totally fine with that move. Like, yeah, it's trash talking, but you do it, you got to be able to take it. The problem I've got is the game is over. The game ends.
Yeah,
your whole entire team is over by your bench celebrating a national championship.
Right.
While you were following a chick around, waving your hand in your face and pointing at your finger.
Yeah.
So, like, not only are you disrespecting Caitlin Clark, you're disrespecting your team by making this completely about yourself.
Right.
it also continued after the game, like post-game interviews, like on the podium afterward, like you're
She had a bone to pick.
yeah, like at that point it felt more personal than it did, with the Louisville game where, like you said, they know each other. It's more
Which one's
competitive banter, that kind of stuff.
Which one is the better athlete?
Oh, Iowa's by far, like because she was.
Caitlin Clark is her name is.
Thank you.
She has a name. Say her name.
Oh no, this is gonna take.
I just said it because I knew you didn't know her name was.
I remember. Caitlin Clark is the better athlete.
And let's be
by
real.
Far. Like I was not in that game if Caitlin Clark's not on that team.
1,000%. They're not even.
That's
in the
why that
elite,
happened.
they're not even in the Elite Eight if Caitlin Clark's on the team.
It's Iowa.
And the thing is, yes, you won a national championship. You should be pumped. Talking trash during the game, 100% like legit. The thing is, you're talking trash to a chick that scored twice as many points as you.
Right.
You were on the better team. Yes. Congratulations.
Right.
You did not outplay Caitlin Clark. You didn't show her up. She still had a better game than you did. So what are you doing?
Right.
And as you said, like, okay, if you go post game, you say, you know what, I was in the competitive moment. I got ahead of myself. It happens. Like,
no,
fine. She's doubled down on it every step of the way. Like, I cannot stand this girl. Cannot. Like, okay, so let's get into the quote.
I feel like she'd be the perfect UK fan.
She went from
Yes, you would.
No, absolutely.
Okay, who said vacated championship? How many times have you said it today? or tonight?
What about it?
I haven't said anything.
How many times have you said no?
I only count championships to count. Personally.
Okay,
What about it?
she
Okay,
loves the repetition, the dedication to the show,
But here's what
to
made
the being
it-
an AH.
Listen.
That's BBN.
Here's what made it way
let's let him
worse.
read the quote.
Just let me cook. Here's the thing that made it way worse. And I'm so sick of this. Everyone wants to turn everything into a race issue. Like, they always...
going race first episode?
We're going here. Let me just give a quote. Let me give a quote.
This is a very
Angel Reese, like, after the game, I don't fit the narrative. I don't fit in a box that y'all want me to be in. I'm too hood. I'm too ghetto. Y'all told me that all year. But when other people do it, y'all say nothing. So this was for the girls that look like me. That's going to speak up on what they believe in. It's unapologetically you. That's what I did it for tonight. It was bigger than me tonight. It was bigger than me.
I disagree with that.
Her entire premise was, "This is about me." This
So
is
are
why
you
I'm
saying?
I'm sorry, you reading that's my favorite thing that's ever happened.
What did you said? It
Girls
was
look
bigger
like me.
than me tonight. He said that's what I did it for tonight. That's what you did what for tonight?
Right.
You won a championship for
Right.
girls like
With your
that,
team?
or did you
Talk loud.
troll someone for those girls? Like,
Right.
and I don't know if you know this, Angel Reese, but you're not the first black chick to win a national championship. Am I wrong? Like, if you
I'm
look at
gonna
all the
guess no.
teams, if you look at all the other teams before you, they weren't all white girls.
I'm supposed to stop smiling.
So I don't know. Like, the thing is, let's stop pretending that like she's Rosa Parks. All right, because she's not. The thing is, you did it because you were being cocky. You were being cocky. You got ahead of yourself. Let's stop pretending like you did this glorious thing. You just trolled someone after winning a national championship. Listen. The thing is,
He's doing a hell of a job. Keep
listen.
going.
You were being
Keep going.
you were being a poor sport. Own up to it. Stop trying to make it seem like you were just like you rose from the ashes. Like, I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, and then
I mean,
I want to stop you right there.
Yeah.
She did accept Biden's.
no, she did not accept her apology.
No, she did accept the apology.
She
They're
accepted
going
the
to the White House.
invitation, and that's another thing. I'm glad you brought that up because when that quote happened, she was like, "I don't accept that apology. We'll go to the Obamas." Do you think you speak for the whole team? We'll go to the Obamas.
Right.
Are you LSU? Like,
yes.
And also, did the Obamas invite you, or do you
Right.
think because you won a national championship, you can just walk into anyone's door you want? Like, I mean, the thing is, I don't know. I just think, look, be real. You did not. You won a national champion. We're not clipping any of this. The thing is, you won a
Always
national.
having himself a moment.
You
okay?
won a national championship because your team was the better team.
Right. Yeah. That night.
Right.
That night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, you did not. You were not the first black woman to win a national championship. You definitely didn't help anyone by trolling someone. Like, trash talking is trash talking. It's going to be in sports all the time. But my goodness, like, you're making yourself out like you are some like hero of your race. Which, what in the world are we talking about here? I just hope. And last thing. If anything, you should be grateful to Caitlin Clark for beating South Carolina, because South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, beat your butt in the regular season. Had she lost to South Carolina, you wouldn't be a national championship.
South Carolina was what, 38-0 going into that game?
38-0. They beat LSU in the regular season by 20 plus points.
With the camera we talk.
20 plus points. So if anything, you should be saying thank you, because you were not the best player in the country. You weren't even the best player on your team that night. I hope you lose next season. I've had enough of you. That's all I got to say.
Should the LSU coach have been teed up for basically trying to tackle the referee at one point?
Yes, but again, like, the refs were bad. The tee up on Caitlin Clark was bad. The refs were terrible. They made the game unwatchable. LSU was the better team. They deserved to win the national championship. They weren't the better team that night because of Angel Reese. She had a fine game. She had an Oscar Tshiebwe-like night. She had 10 rebounds, 15 points. Awesome. Whatever. Like, Caitlin Clark had 30. Like, her own teammate had 24. Like, you weren't the best player on the court that night, so why are you making this all about yourself? That's all I got. That's all I got.
Completely race baiting, and Stephen A. Smith fed right into that, and it's almost a conversation that you can't even have legitimately if you are a white person sitting around with other white people.
Right. Right.
And
Correct.
we don't have the right to say that you don't have the right to say everything that you just said.
I just did.
I know, because you are white, but you are completely correct.
Yeah.
Everything that you just said, but it will never be able to be on this podcast. It will never be able to be.
It will
on
never see the
social
light of
media.
day.
And that's the problem.
You're getting fired from your job tomorrow.
I'm so happy that you didn't want to make this political.
It's not political. That's the thing.
It is,
I
though.
wanted to make it logical. It's not political. It's logical. Like, the thing is, when she said, I don't take this is what Angel Reese said. I don't take disrespect lightly. Okay, Caitlin Clark did that to a U of L player who
Yes.
was also white.
Correct.
So
What
why
I
are
think
we now
another-
making this
But
a
also
race?
in the moment, and after not post game, not
Correct.
looking for that specific
Correct.
person to go do that
Correct.
to. And also, it was a competitive moment with a colleague friend. You said that she knows her, that she's her friend.
Yeah, HVL and her, yeah.
So I mean, it's competitiveness. It's you having respect for somebody else, and them
Yes.
having respect for you, and going, hey, I got one up on you. Not,
Right.
I'm looking to disrespect you
Right.
because I beat you, bitch.
And even the
I
thing
got
is
this fat ass
even,
ring.
the thing too and that's another thing. She's saying I don't take disrespect lightly. It was like a Final Four Elite Eight game. She had one of her teammates during a timeout draw a ring around her finger during a timeout. Is that not disrespectful? You're not even playing for the national championship game, and you're drawing a ring on your finger during a timeout.
I'm pretty sure a lot of
come
this
on.
stemmed from the Final Four game where Iowa was playing South Carolina, and they basically didn't guard a girl from South Carolina.
Correct.
Who, I'm assuming from seeing the highlights, this girl can't shoot. Well, from what I was, and Caitlin Clark kind of brushed her
Right,
off
correct.
during the game, and that's kind of what started all the whole disrespect thing. I don't understand how that's disrespectful.
game
To
plan.
me, as a coach, that is game plan.
It's game plan.
Like, if you can't, just like if you watch the NBA, is it disrespectful to Russell Wilson?
No. Russell Westbrook.
Or yeah,
It is also disrespectful to him as well.
but like you watch Draymond Green for the
You watch Sierra out there, and she's twerking all over Future, or she was, and now what's she doing?
you watch Draymond's Golden State Warriors. Like, is anybody really guarding him at the 3-point line? But they're not coming out and being like, I'm not going to take this disrespect. If you can't shoot, there's no. It's good coaching. It's good. It's a good plan. If you're not going to guard somebody who can't shoot, yeah, I'm going
Correct.
to load the box.
And it's not even your team. It's not even your team.
Right.
So what
You were
do
disrespected because the South Carolina guard couldn't shoot.
It's insane. I mean, honestly, if it had just gone the way it went, fine. I do think it was a little bit of a classless move to do what she did, but to double down and triple down the way she has after the game to make it
not in
seem
the
like
moment.
to make it seem like everyone that has disagreed with that action is a racist somehow.
Right.
Get it? I mean, I've had enough. Had enough.
it's
That's all
the
it is.
state of America, man.
Had enough.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's what I got. We've gone on a long time. So
is
why don't we get
ridiculous.
to
How's the laptop not died?
the? You want to do the bourbon?
Yeah, let's wrap it up, and let's get to our personal opinions. How we're doing? How are we going to do this? Well, actually, first off, I want you all to tell me a little bit about bourbon in general, because we talked about
Thank
this
you.
starting out, and
This is the whole
one thing
reason I'm
I can
here.
bring up.
Yeah.
But to me, I've said it 1,000 times. To me, bourbon is bourbon. Like every time I have it, I'm like, oh, it's got the same burn. It's still uncomfortable. It's not that delicious. Whatever.
Because you haven't been cultured enough. You haven't enjoyed
some
it
hair in your
yourself.
chest. You gotta have a little. Yeah.
No, none of that. It is you need to experience more bourbon. You need to enjoy good bourbon. Your friend Dwight has quite a bit of it. I have some of it. I'd be more than happy to let you taste some of my good brown liquid.
Good.
Yeah. There is Dwight. Correct me. There's a difference between shit bourbon that you can get at a bar and you chug to get drunk versus good bourbon that you're drinking for taste, for
Yeah, I
quality.
have good bourbon. Wild
for-
turkey every weekend.
There's some good.
There
wild
is some
turkey.
good wild turkey.
Oh,
yeah,
no,
see,
that's
you wanted to downplay wild turkey. No. But
Makers.
you have to. It's like anything, man. You have to get invested into it to really truly appreciate what it is. On its face, you can just say, "Yeah, it burns and gets me drunk." That's not what bourbon is. Dwight, I know you're more passionate.
No,
even than I am.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, for those that are watching, you've got two people that know a decent amount about, well, that too. But you've got two people here that, Brian and myself, that know a little bit about it. Ashton and Justin are more, beginners, and so they're not going to pick up on a lot of the nuances. But that's why we're doing this here. So like we're learning. I mean, we're all learning here. We're figuring out what we like and what we don't like. You're not going to get like the expert tasting notes. Like, we're not going to dive into like the mash bills of all these bourbons, but what we are going to do is every episode we're going to drink something that's pretty nice for the most part, something allocated. We're going to kind of say what we like, what we don't like about it, give it a rating, and every now and then we'll throw in a junk bourbon and see if like it fools us. Maybe we really enjoy it and it makes us look like idiots, but we're going to go for it. So let's start with you two, since you don't know a whole lot about, the ins and outs. You don't drink a ton of allocated stuff. Like, what did you think? So just also to preface it, my wife poured us each about an ounce and a half of something that I've got in the shelf. We don't know what it is. We're going to rank it. We're going to, say what we think it is, and then we're going to reveal it. So
rank.
We'll, so you did not like it.
No, it's not. I mean, it just tastes like every bourbon I've ever had in my life. I don't know how else, like, it just does. It just tastes, and it's like, I never sniff it that often. I never, little sniff.
Well, that's part of the problem. That's part of the taste.
Am I supposed to take a little sniff?
Your nose is connected to your mouth. You're supposed to enjoy it through the nose first.
And when you smell it, you're supposed to have your mouth open a little bit, so that way you're not just getting all alcohol. Because if you smell it with your mouth closed, you're just gonna be sniffing alcohol. Right. So,
okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard like it's better to like breathe it in and then exhale through your nose, and so you don't burn your nostrils like the first couple times you smell your bourbon.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that. I just know, like, obviously when you taste it, personally, I like to just do a little bit. Like, obviously if you're putting a whole mouthful of it, it's gonna burn you. Like, take a little sip at a time, let it run around the palate, see if you can pick up some notes, see if you can, decipher anything. And
taste with the tip of your tongue to start, and then let it
just
move its way back into your mouth.
So, Justin, you go ahead and start, because you drink probably the least amount of bourbon.
So it tastes like everything you've ever had, basically, is what you're saying. It tastes like everything you've ever had.
Yeah,
so I think after a while, we're going to do enough of these, hopefully, that you will start to pick up on differences, and you'll start to realize
you'll culture me a little bit.
Well, you're going to culture yourself. You're going to figure out, like, this tasted way worse than last week, or this tasted way better than last week. Like, you'll pick up on what you like and what you don't like.
So what was your rating?
What was your rating?
Out of what?
0 from 10. Yeah. And you can get points.
Yeah, don't give a rookie score here. Use your decimals.
Give it a 5.3.
Ooh. Okay.
And why?
Just because it was the average.
It's average. It seems like every freaking bourbon I've ever had.
Yes.
Hey,
I don't know. Like,
it's fine.
mix it with some Coke and I'm good to go. I mean, that's.
Oh no.
All right, Ashton, what do you think?
I mean, I thought it was pretty smooth. It didn't burn too bad after the initial.
It all burns. So
but not
the first.
But like, the first couple sips.
Supposed to.
But it didn't have like a lingering burn to it.
I think what you're calling there is like, usually the finish is what you kind of call that, where it stays with you. So you're not, if you drink something super low proof, it's gonna you're gonna taste it and then it's gone.
Right.
Where a good like higher proof bourbon is gonna have more of a finish where you don't want it to like just be heat, but you do want to have a lingering like hug, like they call it the Kentucky hug, where it sits in your chest or your throat. That's what you're kind of looking for.
My guess would be this is some type of lower proof bourbon, but I'd rank it a 7.4.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had better, but I've had much worse. I don't think it's Jim Beam.
I don't either. Considering I only have one bottle of Jim Beam and it's upstairs, I doubt it's Jim Beam.
What if she did? What if she starts out that way?
That'd be.
That would be wild, but there's no way.
Brian.
All right, Brian. I'm interested because I'm gonna having a little bit more. I'm gonna grill you a little bit, so I'm gonna get I want your thoughts on this.
I'm gonna be real honest. When I first smelled it, I thought for sure it had to have been a Parker's. Then I tasted it, and it did not taste like a Parker's at all.
Okay. For those that don't know, Parker's Heritage is a Heaven Hill product.
Correct.
But yeah, just for those that don't. don't know that.
It had the right color. It had.
Well, we don't do color either.
I don't see color.
The darker the color.
he did a whole
Angel Reese is white for all I know.
Oh no!
I just hate her. Anyways, continue.
I don't see color unless it's bourbon. It honestly was a little hotter than I was expecting, and so I'm surprised by you to say that it was a lower proof because I thought from the smell that it wasn't going to be as hot as it was. Are we guessing right now?
So here's what I want from you. I want to know.
It's been a long time since I've tasted it.
Yeah, I know.
Let's be honest.
We've been going at this for a while, so we finished this.
Can we pour you some more?
I'd be more than happy to.
But here,
Are we guessing more?
Yes, correct.
So here's the
Mine is
thing.
better if I-
I want to know your guess on 3 things. I want to know your guess on age. I want to know your guess on proof, and I want to know your guess on the bottle.
Okay.
And just again, for those listening, we have no clue what we're drinking. We have no idea.
So, age first.
Whatever you want to do.
It's got to be past 8 years. I would say somewhere in the 9, 10, 11-ish range.
9 to 11.
I don't think it's like Michter's 10 bourbon that's like actually 12 to 15 year that's mixed in with some 10 year. I think it's got to be something that's like 8 plus. It's yeah. So what was the next one? I'm sorry.
Proof.
I actually think it was higher than what I was expecting. Maybe a 111, 112. Or even more. It's been a while since I've tasted it, but I was surprised at how hot it was. But it wasn't like a hot, overpowering, this is gross, please don't let me taste this. There was a finish to it. And then it was the bottle.
And then bottle / if you don't know the exact bottle or you don't want to go there, that's specific, the distillery.
We've ruled out Jim Beam.
Fair enough.
Really?
Not knowing what's completely in your collection, knowing that you have a plethora of a lot of the local distilleries, I don't think it is a Brown Forman product. I don't think it's Old Forester. I don't think it's I don't think it's a Heaven Hill product. If I was going to guess, I would say it's either I'm probably going to go Four Roses.
Okay.
And when you get down to recipe, it's definitely not an OE.
You think it's an OB?
I think it's an OB.
Okay.
And I think I have at my house an OBSF and an OESK. I'm going to go with OBSF.
Okay. And rating, last one.
Out of 10?
Out of 10. You can give percent. You can give point like 9.2, 1.3.
We have to have batteries.
I'd say, honestly, from what I remember, 8.7.
8.7.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I definitely thought it was Parker's. It wasn't. I can tell.
All right, I'm gonna go real quick.
Yeah, sorry.
We'll do the reveal. So, as far as the bottle goes, I do agree with you. I do think it's a Four Roses product. I don't know exactly what, but I do think it is an OE. I think it's going to be either an OESK or an OESV.
Why OE?
I don't get so for those that don't know, an OB is higher rye.
Right.
An OE is lower rye. They're both rye bourbons. I just get the sense that it is a lower rye. It doesn't have that rye spice that I would get. So that's why I think it's. Do you? So I do think it's either OESK or OESV. I mean, I have plenty of OEs and plenty of OBs, so it could be either. Proof, I do think this is going to be a barrel proof bourbon. I think it's going to be around 120, if maybe slightly lower, but I'm going to say around 120. Age, I actually think this is a older bourbon. I mean, the color was really dark. The taste had some oak spice on it.
The longer it stays in the barrel, the darker it gets, right?
Correct. So I'm going to say this is actually an older one. I'm going to say this is going to be like a 16 to 18 year bourbon. And then...
Do you have that old of
I do.
Four Roses?
I do.
Okay. Open?
Yep.
Okay.
And then rating, I loved
out.
it. I'm going to be honest with you. I think these ultra, again, if I'm right, if I am right that this is an ultra aged Four Roses product, I think those have stood up to BTAC that I've tried. I think it stands up to maybe not King of Kentucky level, but close. So, I mean, I would rate this really high. I'm going to rate this a 9.3 personally. So we'll see if I'm right. If I'm wrong, it's going to be fun. And we're going to do this every week. What do we got?
Are you
big
guys
reveal.
ready?
The
Ready
big
to find
reveal.
out what it is?
Let's find out.
Ashley, you want to do me the
What have we
honors?
been sipping on?
That's not a bottle of bourbon.
Call it.
We've got
And-
Four Roses single barrel strength with a 122 proof.
So I was right on the proof.
Yeah,
I was
61.5.
wrong on the recipe,
What's the
though.
recipe?
It's an OB. It's an OBSF.
Where do I find that at?
On the sack right here.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, OBSF, 11 years, 3 months.
So Brian was right on the
Specially
age
selected
and the...
by Cinco de Mayo.
There you go.
Look at that.
Well, awesome. There you
Little
go.
Four Roses
Hey,
for
not
you
bad.
there.
Not bad for two novices picking the right distillery. Brian was right on the age and the recipe. I was right on the proof.
I was right that it was
I
not
had a
Jim
pretty
Beam.
wide range
Not bad.
on the
Yeah.
age, but I'm
Not bad.
Not bad. It tastes like the same crap to me, so there we go. Anyway. All right.
I mean, honestly, Four Roses has been killing it. So, like, you know.
Shout out Four Roses.
They do have a very distinct taste. So, like, I'm not shocked that we got the distillery right, but it's good stuff.
All right, I think that's going to do it for us here. I appreciate everybody for tuning in as always. This is the first video that we're doing here on the podcast, but appreciate that. Hopefully, let us know in the comments down below what you liked in the commentary. What do you want to hear more about? What do you want to hear less about? What we can dig into there. If you haven't already, you can make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button. We'll see you all next time, and close that fucking door.